Well, kids, that one really sucked. Oh, welcome back, Devils fans. It is your host, Ace, here on Running with the Devils, where we are talking New Jersey Devils hockey all year long. Please hit that subscribe button, smash the like, share with a friend. Thank you very much. And this afternoon, amidst a blizzard snowstorm, I forget the name they gave this storm in the East Coast of New Jersey. Everyone snowed in. The New Jersey Devils looking to finish up a perfect 4-0 on the road trip in Seattle, taking on the Kraken. And unfortunately, it was not meant to be. It was not meant to be. The New Jersey Devils fall by a final score of 4-2, and a painful one. It really sucked. Win or lose, we booze, guys. We're back to loser beverages. Win or lose, we booze. Sticking with the Nooners. Cheers to all of you for coming out. Some of you are probably also snowed in. Painful loss, but win or lose, we booze. So loser beverage. We're back to loser beverages, guys. We had a nice run, 3 in a row. Now we're out here with loser beverages again. They just don't taste the same. They just do not taste the same at all. And we get to the goals of the game. First period. First period was a little encouraging, obviously. Devils taking the lead. Connor Brown gets the puck to Jackhughes on the wall. Jack does a little dance on the wall. He fakes a pass, freezes defenders. He goes behind the net, and he finds Dougie with a beautiful saucer. Dougie hammers it in for his 6th of the season on the power play from Jackhughes and Connor Brown at 8-11. Gives the Devils the 1-0 lead. And I want to take this moment to say, despite a lot of the people hating on Jack and everything as of late, which is a little crazy, kids playing through a major hand injury, while his shot and goal scoring ability might not be there, he can pass with the best of them in the league. Elite playmaker, and you saw it on display there, as well as the last game on the power play when he fed Nico Hischier beautifully. But he does it here again. Finds Dougie in front. Dougie hammers it in, and Dougie is absolutely on fire, kids. I'll talk about that more in depth in a future, video or live or something about the Dougie situation. But Dougie's 6th point in his 8th straight. He had assists in his last 7 games. He gets that goal. 8-game point streak for Dougie Hamilton after being healthy scratch. Devils up 1-0. That is how the first period would end. And at that point, I was flying high. I'm snowed in. I'm stuffing my face. I'm eating all the snacks. Devils up 1-0. I'm fantasizing about coming home 4-0, perfect on the road trip heading into Tuesday's game. We get to the second period, and the second period was not as kind to our New Jersey Devils. Kraken moving it around in the O-zone. They fire a shot from the point, and it deflects off of Kovacevic's stick and through Markey at 7:37. Evans ties it up at 1. Just absolutely terrible luck for the Devils. Changed directions, and it sucked. Not much you're going to do there. An unfortunate kind of event. And the game is all tied up at 1. And that is how the second period would end. We head into the third period, just needing the Devils. Just win a period. Just win the third period. Once again, another must-win third period. Win the period, win the game, and come home perfect on the trip. We head to the third. And I have to say, it was a weak D-zone effort by Siegenthaler on Eberle. Kraken have the puck down low. Siegenthaler did not do a good enough job on Eberle. Eberle gets it over to mattybeniers, and Nemo, horrible play by Nemo. It is what it is. He's just a deer in headlights, just looking at him. And Beniers brings it to his backhand and roofs a filthy shot. Beautiful play by Beniers, but what the hell was Nemitz doing there? Beniers roofs it on the backhand past Markey at 7:04. Gives his 12th of the season from Eberle, gives the Kraken the 2-1 lead, and I was furious at that point. I was furious at Siegs. I was furious at Nemo, and I was furious at Markey. Not a good goal by Markey. That whole sequence was just awful, and at that point, I did think it was going to cost them the game. I thought the game would end 2-1 or 3-1 on the empty net. But 18 seconds later, another disgusting trademark of this Devils club is giving up bang-bang goals. They did it again. Seattle wins an O-zone draw. They get the puck down low. Stevenson sweeps it across to Catton, who gets it on net, and it goes off of Kovacevic's skate. Kovacevic with some terrible, terrible luck in this one. Past Markey at 7:22, 18 seconds after the second goal, and that was the backbreaker. Kraken up 3-2, and at that point, I was pretty furious. I'm not going to lie. Furious wrote the game off, thought it was a definite loss. But also in typical New Jersey Devils fashion, we had to have a little tease along the way, because what fun would a loss be without a little tease? Devils on the power play. This is only 52 seconds later. Devils on the power play. Connor Brown gets the puck to Dougie at the point. Dougie gets it to Jack. Jack just takes a little stride forward and rips it towards the net. It takes a direction change off of former New Jersey Devil Adam Larson's knee. Changes directions a little bit. A little fortunate bounce for the Devils there. And into the back of the net, Jack gets his 12th of the season on the power play from Dougie Hamilton and Connor Brown at 8:14 to cut the lead to 3-2. Dougie with another assist. He now has points in 8 straight, eight games with an assist in a row, and he had the goal today as well. Dougie absolutely on fire. Maybe, maybe there's something to scratching guys. Maybe they do respond, but Jack's 12th on the power play. Good to see Jack score, obviously, and lead 3-2 at that point. And then with Markey on the bench, Devils the extra attacker. I forget who it was. Someone tries to get to the puck to Dougie at the point. It goes through him, and Eberle has a wide open empty net freebie. Kraken 4-2 at that point. That is how the game would end, and an abysmal loss. Terrible loss for the Devils. They went up 1-0. They scored 2 power play goals. Every sign was there. They held the Kraken to not a ton of shots. I mean, they should have won this game. They gave this one away. They had every opportunity to win this. We get to the game stats. Devils 29 shots on goal. The Kraken with 19 shots. Like, if going into a game, you're going to score 2 power play goals and only allow the opponent 19 shots, that should be like a 99.5% win rate, but not this team, not this year. Devils and Kraken, 50% on the faceoffs, right down the middle. Devils go 2 for 4 on the power play, which is nice. Nice to see the power play start heating up a little bit. Penalty kill is perfect. Kraken go 0 for 4 on their power plays. Devils with 13 hits, Kraken with 19 hits. Devils with 16 block shots, Kraken with 21 block shots. Devils with 17 giveaways, the Kraken with 11 giveaways. Devils with 3 takeaways, and the Kraken with 4 takeaways. There is your tale of the game, if you will. Let me see the player stats, if there's anything interesting. Connor Brown, another 2 assist outing for him, a shot and a block. Timomeier, 3 shots, a block, and 3 hits. Hameenaho with a shot and a block. Jesperbratt, 3 shots, a -2. Grits with 2 shots and 2 hits. Jackhughes with a goal and an assist. Another multi-point game for Jack, 3 shots. Dilly with 3 hits. Dougie Hamilton with 5 shots, a block. Johnny Kovacevic, 4 shots, 3 blocks. Shimo Nemitz, a shot, 3 blocks, a hit. Brett Pesce, 3 blocks and a hit. And Jacob Markstrom. 15 saves on 18 shots. I'm not going to totally blame him for the loss, but he definitely played a big part of it, in my opinion. And we'll get to all that because I know the comments are going to be just filled with craziness. But as I referred to before, Dougie Hamilton, courtesy of MSG Networks, he had assists in 7 straight games coming into today. And I guess one of them he had 2 assists. So he had 8 assists through those 7 games, at least 1 in every game. And then he had a goal and an assist today. Dougie Hamilton continues to stay scorching hot for this Devils club. And before I get to the comments, I would be remiss if I didn't show this warrior. What an absolute warrior here. Brett Pesce takes a face plant in the, I forget if it was first or second period, but face plants on the ice, gets this cut, and returns to action because he is a warrior, and that's what warriors do. But shout out to Brett Pesce, just a dog, an absolute dog. Oh, and I might as well show this. This is just depressing, but we look at the deserve to win meter, and I'm not surprised given the shot disparity and the Devils' chances and all that. Devils deserve to win this one 74.1% to the Kraken's 25.9 per this little deserve to win meter, and the deserve to win meter was wrong once again. Despite heavily favoring the Devils, they lost, and it sucks. And we get to the chat. Colby, what's up? As a Kraken fan, goaltending decided this game. To some extent, being completely fair, I don't know that if Jake Allen had started this game, the Devils would have won. I mean, the team did play very poorly in front of Markey on those goals. It's a possibility, but but Decor definitely played pretty damn good to win the game. But yeah, I don't know. It was just one of those games where sloppy defense in front of Markey. That Beniers goal, I think, was terrible by Markey. I mean, you can't give that up. It sucked. But yeah, I mean, goaltending was definitely a difference. I don't know, again, if Allen would have been a difference enough for the Devils to win the game. It's definitely possible. But either way, it really sucked to lose this game. And, the Devils now, 3-1 over the last 4 on this road trip. That is 750 points percentage hockey, and that's damn good. I think all of us would have signed up for 3-1 on the road trip heading into it. But then after you go 3-0, you get really greedy. Obviously, we all wanted to go 4-0. The Devils did as well. But, they weren't going to get back into the playoffs in a week. They dug themselves in a hole they're going to have to dig out now. And if they're going to do it, it may take some time. But if they could continue to win 3 of every 4 on average, that'll certainly be good enough, to get into the playoffs. Obviously, the 3 out of 4 for the rest of the season is pretty ridiculous. But, 4 out of 6, win 6 out of 9 kind of situations. They just have to play a high level, high points percentage hockey to make this improbable run to the playoffs happen. And that win today would have certainly been nice. And I really wish they could have did it, but it was not in the cards. Here we are and back at it in New Jersey on Tuesday. But thank you for the super. And now we go into the comments. Tasha says, I take the blame for not being able to win 4 in a row. I jinxed it. Damn you, Tasha. Damn you. Traveling says the negative chat made them lose. The chat is brutal. Sometimes the chat is absolutely brutal. And look, I get it. Everyone's frustrated. We've underachieved for years now. This season kind of fell apart, and we're going to need a small miracle to get to the playoffs. So I get it. But some of you are just so overly negative. It's crazy. Traveling says no doom in all game Tuesday. Justin, Seattle played well tonight. Be now, sunshine and rainbows forever. I mean, that's what the world some people live in, right? I've talked about this. There are some folks that for whatever reason, and I haven't been able to quite figure it out yet, but there are some people that think if you discuss the team honestly, during bad times and have negative things to say, they believe that like you're a bad fan, this, that, and the other. Like, obviously, I don't believe that. I believe the truth is the truth. And so, whatever it is. Traveling, they just use the formula to win against the Devils. Tasha said, I'll be at the game Tuesday, so no dooming from me in the chat. Very nice. You're going to see some history. Johnny Mack being honored, going into the Ring of Honor. Backs and racks, Markstrom is garbage. Yeah, you guys are... Listen, he's struggling, and I hope he figures it out. But my God, it's been a winding road. The Jacob Markstrom roller coaster thrill ride in a lot of these games. Justin says, Markstrom is still an NHL caliber goalie. Oh, I know you're certainly going to get flamed for that. The stats this season are not very kind at all. NJ Fanatic, 18 shots on Markey. He is the link, in my honest opinion. 3 goals on 18 shots, really. I mean, shots don't always tell the whole story, right? I mean, what if it was 18 breakaways? Obviously, that wasn't the case tonight, but, really the only one, in my opinion, you could really put on him is that Beniers one. That was brutal. Traveling says 2.5 seasons to go with him, obviously referring to the extension that he was just signed to a couple months back. Yeah, I mean, all we could do is hope that he figures it out. But this has been now, I would say, a pretty prolonged period of inconsistency from him and kind of rough play. Justin's 2 of the goals were deflections, not Markstrom's fault. Yeah, I just referred to that. I mean, the only one I could put on is the Beniers one. If he didn't give that up, you can make the argument that maybe everything would have played out differently, et cetera. But that was really the only bad goal. The other 2 were super unfortunate, and Johnny Kovacevic happened to be the unfortunate guy that the pucks went off of. Neil says, I don't get why they started Markstrom again for the second game in a row. Dude does not inspire confidence at all. Listen, they're committed to him, and they're clearly going to try to get him back on track at all costs. I don't necessarily agree with it, obviously. I certainly would have started Jake Allen tonight. But here we are. They have him signed up for 2 more years. He is a rhythm goalie. He likes his starts. He likes, playing a few 3-4 games in a row. He typically finds his game better when they do that, but it cannot come at the cost of potentially costing this team points and wins. And I'm not, again, because 2 of the 3 goals were completely not his fault, it's hard for me to kind of blame this loss on him. But, we're running out of season here. Every game is super valuable. Every point is precious. And I do think the entire world certainly feels better with Jake Allen in there, and for good reason. I mean, it is what it is. Thirst for War says Markey almost cost us an easy win in Vancouver. Start him again anyway. Again, this is just the all-in commitment to trying to get him back on top because they want him to be the number one. Pool 95, very disappointing game, and they are faced with a big game. They fold. Yeah, it sucks. It sucks. Listen, there's no, to go 4-0 on the trip would have been amazing, but like I said, they're not going to get into the playoff picture in the course of a week. And 750 hockey, 3 out of 4 is not bad. Now go out and do it again. Win 3 of the next 4 and just keep doing that, and they will close the gap. But there was a golden opportunity squandered here today for sure. Score first, 2 power play goals. Once again, the complete inability to score at 5-on-5 continues to bite them in the ass. With the offensive struggles, even strength scoring is non-existent in a lot of these games. And we saw it here again today. I mean, it's brutal. Completely brutal. Tasha's Patriots made the Super Bowl. I just saw that. I think I told my brother-in-laws yesterday that I thought the Pats were going to win. NJ Fanatics says, this is ridiculous. This is worse goaltending than VV. Don't let one of the guys in here see that. Rabid Monkeypox, I just got in from clearing my driveway. 4 goals on 19 shots. Well, one of them was an empty net, and then 2 of them were fluke, deflections off of Kovacevic. Doesn't quite tell the whole story, but yeah, obviously not great. But isn't it going to snow more? I didn't bother doing any shoveling yet. That's a tomorrow problem. Cass 116 says Pesci is a warrior, so competitive. He got all my respect. Hope will be okay. Yeah, I think he's fine. They attended to that cut. I don't know if it needed stitches or not, but he came right back out there. B now says maybe 1 goal I'll give you, but giving up 2 goals in a minute has become normal for him, and giving up countless 5-hole goals is bad goaltending. The Beniers one was bad, but that other one was off of a Kovacevic skate. I mean, Taj says Jack's been elitely good passing recently. In my opinion, I think the hate's unwarranted. Yeah, he's playing through an injury. It sucks he can't really shoot it like he normally can, but the playmaking ability is not lost. He's setting guys up left and right. Spencer Rugg says Allen needs to be the number 1. I think a lot of people kind of are on board with that. Justin Smith, Allen will start on Tuesday. Yeah, Keith alluded to that. Either yesterday or today. I think it was yesterday. Neil, Markstrom is horrible. Cannot continue to have a sub 880 save percentage. Yeah, I mean, it is a problem. And it could come back to bite the Devils in the ass. B now says we could throw Fitz under the bus, but Markstrom is untouchable. Dubs is like, can't lose that game, especially when Metro teams lose. This team just lacks the killer instinct and doesn't smell blood. Yeah, I agree. And I think this game is another one where once you get the 1-0 lead, really try to get that second one. Had they went up 2-0, could everything been different? Maybe. But you let teams hang around, and they tied it up at 1, and then it was all downhill from there. Justin says, Ace, disagree with you on the second goal. Markstrom had no chance. Oh, he certainly had a chance. The defense in front of him was terrible, but if you're talking the Beniers goal, he definitely, that was not a great play by him. Stick Figs, I've been willing to give Markey some leeway and time to prove himself, but to be honest, I'm losing patience with him. I think a lot of people are. Tasha says I'm losing patience as well. Woodson says Kovacevic is just another unnecessary overpay. I completely disagree with you there. I do think there's a ton of teams that would love to have Johnny Kovacevic for $4 million. I mean, what planet are you on, Woodson? This is the new cap era, kid. What do you think he's worth today? His market value, I'm sure, is beyond $4 million. Tosh said, Ace, did you see Casey drop the gloves? Yeah, I forget the dude's name that he fought, but he fought for the Comets last night, and he ended up fighting a former Michigan Wolverine teammate, which I think is hilarious. Probably who knows? He could be buddies with the guy, but when you're wearing the other team's jersey, friendships are on hold until after the game. World's Worst Gamer says can't win them all. At least special teams was great again today. Yeah, obviously you're not going to win them all, but it would have really been nice, especially after scoring first. Special teams were pretty good, but all for naught. Still in a loss. Hopefully the power play can continue to generate goals. Hopefully this team could wake up at 5-on-5 and score some even strength goals. That would be nice. And hopefully ridiculous soon. Tasha, the point streak is ludicrous. The Dougie point streak. He's on fire. What a response after being scratched. Russo would love to know why Markey got the start after a terrible performance last game. Allen should have been in net. This was one that slipped away. It's because they want to they want to get him back on track, man. They really still believe Markstrom is the guy. He's the true number one, and they're gonna force feed it. But at some point, it's gonna hurt this team, in my opinion, if Markey does not get back to where we need him to be. Consistently throwing him out there is not it. Justin Smith said, if it wasn't for Markstrom, Carolina would have killed the Devils in the playoffs last year. I mean, they did kill us in the playoffs still. We lost in 5 games, let's be real. But I did think Markey had a pretty strong playoffs. But, this is a what have you done for me lately situation, right? I mean, Marty Brodeur was phenomenal in the 2003 Cup Finals. It doesn't mean we're going to start him in goal tomorrow. Like, yeah, Markey was pretty solid, in my opinion, in the playoffs. But, you got to perform this year. NJ Fanatics says, I'm tired of this. I never wanted Markey. He is overrated. We should have tried for Saros when he was on the block. Yeah, or Askarov. But either way, it did not happen. They went with Markey, and here we are. All we could do is hope that he gets back. I mean, or if he doesn't, that the Devils firmly ride Allen. But we're going to find out. I'm not happy about the situation overall. World's Worst Gamer says, honestly, I'm starting to get tired with the race. I haven't felt stress from sports in a while, and this is creating it. I mean, how long have you been a Devils fan for? Traveling Mercer trying to fight wasn't worth the 7 minutes of him sitting. Oh, it was way more than that. He was out for the period, and it was early. He got a 2, a 5, and a 10. You guys know how I feel about this. I talked about this after the Oilers game when Kovacevic, I forget the guy's name that it was, but Kovacevic popped McDavid, and an Oiler guy came over and wanted to fight Kovacevic, and he got the same thing, a 2, a 5, and a 10. It's ridiculous. It's certainly being created kind of by the league. The league's definitely telling the refs to do this, and it's a fighting deterrent. That's all that this is. They're trying to deter guys from fighting in situations like that. I don't like it at all, and I said I didn't agree with it even when it benefit the Devils in that Oilers game. Terrible. Dubs is like says, when are we going to talk about how bad Brad has been? Ever since he got pulverized by Ovi, his head has been up his ass. Yeah, it's another, sad story on the season. The big guns struggling for the majority of the year, and Brader has been pretty invisible in a lot of these games, unfortunately. And maybe it does stem from when he got trucked by Ovechkin behind the net there. When was that? That was maybe even a couple months ago. It could be something like that. Maybe it's a mental thing. Maybe it's a combination of the both. I really have no idea. But if this team is going to go on this kind of miracle run to sneak into the playoffs, Bratt has to perform, and he has not been. Running with the Woods, and Dougie can be elite when he cares, but he showed throughout his career that his attitude can be a problem. I do find it interesting that, he's producing at this level since being scratched, but it's like, buddy, why did you have to get scratched to play like this? Why couldn't you perform like this all season before you got scratched? And some of it may have to do with kind of the power play thing too. A lot of people have been talking about, how Dougie should have been the power play one guy instead of Luke. And that's something I firmly agreed with. And it's something that I had kind of talked about in the summer when a lot of people were talking about potentially trading Dougie. You guys know I'm a Dougie guy. I said, I don't know how wise that would be. I think it's a lot to just assume Luke Hughes and Nemo are going to be able to do all the things that Dougie does. And Dougie is a very valuable power play quarterback and a wise vet. So, it's not quite 22, 23 level of Dougie where he's ripping those complete bombs, but he definitely could set guys up, and he can still put it in the back of the net every so often. Very, very valuable piece. Very valuable piece to this team, and I think he'd be valuable to a lot of other teams as well. Justin says, Ace, I don't think they gave this one away. I think they did. I certainly think they did. World's Worst Gamer, this is all about glasses and steak knives in Chicago. Ridiculous season. Obviously referring to Chicago cut. Devil's Den, what's going on, Austin? I'm a big fan of losing games in a minute stretch. Yeah, a signature kind of thing for the Devils. Giving up multiple goals in under 30 seconds, under a minute, and we saw it today. Completely ridiculous. Really sad. You know, had they not given up that third one, maybe it would have been 2-2 going into overtime. David Chime says, scratch Nemo for White next game. Kid's lazy. Defense cost us here. Christie's right about Nemo. That's referring to, we talked about this kind of in depth when I had Christie on about a week or so ago. And it was kind of a conversation based around effort versus mistakes, because everyone's like, oh, Luke never gets, disciplined in any way, and Nemitz did. I don't know. I wouldn't be against it, but I at this point, I think that just might be, I don't know, a slightly excessive. And then it does circle back to like Nemo's the only guy getting punished for anything, or one of the very few. But I do think if all the things did not happen with him over the past couple seasons, I would consider it. And I do like Colton White. I think he's been an underrated kind of guy on the season. He stepped up and played, I think it was 23 games for this team with all the injuries, and was not a liability. Slurp one says, what does last year's playoff performance and net have to do with anything? That's kind of where I'm at. Like, yeah, that's great, but that's totally unrelated. B Now says, exactly how many times do we give up 2 in less than a minute this year? It's got to be a record. No one wants to have it. We must have it. We probably definitely have it. Devils Mets fan says, if Markstrom plays, Devils need to score 4 or 5 goals to win. It certainly seems like that often. It's not always the case, but as of late, it does feel like, we're going to need a bunch of goals to win. But this one I do think is a little different than some of the other marquee starts. I know everyone's going to kind of lump them together. C-Bone says, max cap losing team is all on Fitz. B Now, I agree. Markstrom is not the only reason we lost the game. Don't get me wrong. We only scored 2 goals again. Yeah, sloppy defensive play. I mean, you can't play sloppy in front of your own goal. Vecna Fitzgerald, I just think Allen said, I'm assigned a team-friendly deal. I want to be the backup. I don't want to be a starter. That's got to be what's going on. But regardless, when you have guys, one guy kind of struggling and one guy that looks much more sound in there, regardless of what the intention was by the team or Jake Allen when that deal was signed, like, go win us some games. Go win us some frigging games. B-Now says Pesci balls of the game for coming back after that gash. Yeah, definitely Pesci balls of the game. Natasha, Pesci the Warrior. World's Worst Gamer, I think there's enough evidence for Allen to be made the number 1 the rest of the way at this point. I would tend to agree with you. There's still, a pretty good stretch of hockey left. I will say I don't think the team ever does this. But even if Jake Allen is the quote unquote starter, it will still function like a tandem. And so, you're talking about Allen maybe getting 60% of the starts instead of 40. That's kind of where we're at with the whole starter thing for most teams. World's Worst Gamer says Ottawa beating Vegas 3-0 right now. Damn. Yeah, scoreboard watching is painful. Justin, apparently Markstrom needs to get a shutout in every game. I think the truth is kind of in the middle, Justin. You seem to be like an extreme, and I'm a Markey guy. Everyone knows I'm a Markey guy. I love Markey, but like he's been struggling. But there's people on the extreme side of the hatred, and you seem to be on the extreme side of Markey could do no wrong. I do believe this is the quintessential situation where the truth is somewhere in the middle. Like he's not as bad as a lot of these people are making him out to be, but he's definitely not blameless the way you're making him out to be. Like he has struggled. He has had some good games, but he needs to get it together. B Now says, once again, every goalie we play, Sal tells us is playing amazing. Stick Figs, I agree the team in front of Markstrom often isn't helping him, but it goes both ways. It's true. Natasha, I'm with you, Ace. Even if Allen started, I'm not sure if we had won. I don't think so. Trade Luke and Jack. Why are we are where we were with VV goaltending 2 years ago? Why is Runnin not bashing Markstrom the way he did VV? Are you ever going to stop talking about this? There's no comparison, in my opinion, regardless of the stats. Just the ways that some of the plays happened. Like, come on. Slurp One says, in hockey, you're only good as what have you done for me lately? Completely agree with that. David Chimes, the bounces and Nemo cost us. People letting their emotions about certain people judge this one. I think so too. And again, it is annoying that people have their kind of players that they're going to hate on or defend, and we'll just ride with that till the end of time. Like, there is no clarity on whether it's plays or games. It's like, I either like this guy, I hate this guy, and then going forward, everything he does is great or everything he does is awful. Like, it is pretty interesting. Seabone says, I would rather than lose every game and get a pick, we should be selling. I could not disagree with you more. I still want this team to get into the playoffs. I have no faith that even with a decent pick that this team will draft the right guy. And so, and it's also a guy, whoever it is a guy that's not going to help for years from now. I have no interest. Win as many games as possible and try to get into the playoffs. Woodson, Ace did bash Nemitz for his defense, but rarely Luke. No, I think I've been, again, I don't like to use the word bashing. Honestly critical or critically honest. I think I've been with everybody when it's warranted. Seabones, this is a 9th place team and will be a waste. We'll see. It may be, but tanking is not the way. Tanking is not the way. NJD Theory says, be quiet, Seabones. Tasha, I feel like he has the Luke defensive screw-ups are more obvious. David Chimes, Nemo is way worse than Luke defensively. Woodson. Neil, Markstrom combined with our terrible offense is the reason one has to at least compensate for the other. Yeah, I mean, it would be nice to see Markey or, Markey on fire and the offense also be on fire in the same game and just win like a 4-0, 5-1 kind of game. That would be lovely. It certainly seemed like the Canucks game may have been that after we jumped out to a 3-0 lead, but it does seem like, yeah, either Markey's going to struggle and we're going to have to score a bunch of goals to bail him out, or the offense is going to be complete shit, not be able to generate much, and Markey's going to have like a 1 goal against game to bail them out. I definitely agree with that. We can't have everything kind of clicking in the same game. Tasha says, whoa, David, Nemitz is playing on his offside. Yeah, but, Tasha, there is no excuse to the play that he made. That has nothing to do with playing on his offside. He's standing there in front of the goal, and he watches a guy like Beniers get the puck, and he's just like staring at him, frozen. Like, absolutely cannot happen. There's no excuse whatsoever. No excuse. Dubs is like said, oh, we need the future as bright glasses. Don't mind if I do. The future is bright. Woodson says Nemitz makes $8 million less than Luke. He's allowed to play bad defense. And that's just silly, Woodson. You know what the contract, again, future value. They're hoping it's a bargain in years from now. And soon enough, Nemitz will be making a lot of money as well. World's Worst Gamer, I guess the Olympic break might be nice as I don't have to worry about the Devils for 20 days or whatever. I'm going to miss Devils hockey, but I am going to be absolutely loving the Olympics. As many of you know, I will be on the ground in Italy with Traveling Devil for a lot of it, going to some USA games, eating some good food, seeing the sights, and I will be bringing you guys a lot of vlogs and stuff for those of you that are interested in that. I will certainly be chronicling the hockey and food escapades going through Italy, and I'm very excited for it. It's been a long time in the making for me. 2 bucket list items colliding. It had to be done. It had to be done. B Now says, I love this team, and I'm just calling it like I see it. Markstrom's not the reason we lost, but he sure isn't the reason we win. I think that's very fair and a pretty concise assessment. It's kind of what I said earlier. Like, I'm not putting it on Markey, but he wasn't part of the solution either. Like, a solid goaltending effort may have gotten us the win. Brandon says, I hate to say this, but I wonder what our record would be if Dawes played all of Markstrom's games this season. It's an interesting one to think about. I know a lot of people like talking about Dawes. I do think he could be a solid goalie in this league. I don't think it's going to happen, and I think he's going to be another goalie that ultimately slips through our fingers. I do think he's going to go elsewhere in the summer. I don't, the Devils aren't even going to probably offer him a contract, and that'll be it. The Nico Dawes era. I'll always remember him for the Stadium Series game against the Flyers. Very solid outing for the young man. Robbie's bench toss, good road trip, but a lot of teams between us and the final spots. It's hard to make up ground with 3-point games. Got to go 3-1-1 or 4-1 before the break. Would love to see it. Would love to see it happen. Woodson is like, Woodson, I don't understand. I don't always... it's always a deflection to defend Markey. It was. It literally was. I'm not making this up. Listen, I love Markey, but I criticize him all the time. I don't know what you want from me. I'm not going to be a psychotic hater and bash the guy relentlessly like you people do. Obviously, I'm not going to do that, but that was a deflection. There's no doubt about it. Did you watch the game? Justin says, Dawes can't stop the puck in the AHL. What makes you think he stops the puck in the NHL? So on this point, and a lot of people go down this path, I believe, wildly different. There's been plenty of cases where guys have played on bad AHL teams or AHL teams with bad defenses that give up a lot of quality chances, and they end up having better numbers in the NHL. And that was the case with Dawes last year. I think he only played I forget how many games he played. It was a small sample size last year, but if you look at his numbers with the Devils versus the Comets last year, his numbers were much better with the Devils because they had a better defensive system in place. So AHL numbers are not always indicative of NHL performance, and that certainly has been the case with Dawes. Seabone says, I don't blame the players. I blame Fitz. Half these guys are playing in the wrong positions. NJD Theory, real talk. Brad is actually hurting the team with his play. Multiple plays of his have led straight to goals the last couple games. He's struggling. But what is the solution? Scratch him? I mean, who's coming in for him? A lot of you guys are just bloodthirsty. Correct. Currenty 88. A lot of these new fans are insanely knowledgeable when it comes to the game. It's wild. Tasha said this season's broken me. I think it's broken a lot of people, and it's become kind of the last straw for a lot of people. NJ Fanatic, it's basically this. The team has no confidence in their tender. They play very shaky in front of him, and once a goal goes in by him, they fall apart. Maybe. Brandon says, Allen plays his best when he doesn't play much. It forces us to use Markstrom more than we want to. This is kind of a narrative that I'm getting tired of hearing too. Like, I have an idea. Let's play Allen for 4 straight games and see what happens. Let's just do it. They give Markey the chance to kind of get the net and run with it. Give Allen the same chance and see what happens. I'm very curious. I don't think he's going to fall apart and play horribly the way many people predict. Maybe he will, but we won't know till we try it. And if we're being real, if they do somehow go on a miracle run to get into the playoffs, like, Allen should be the guy, barring some drastic improvements by Markey, which could still happen. We still have 30 games left, I think now. Was today let me just double check on that. I think today was game 52. Yeah, 30 games left. I mean, it's going to be tight. Man from Jersey, so close to going undefeated on the road trip. Yeah, so close, but no cigar. Manny, why did Markstrom start again? It's because the team wants to get him going and they want him to be the number one. And so they're giving him every opportunity to, get a lot of these starts. John says, stop with the jack shit, Woodson. We get you hate him, but he isn't going anywhere. End of story. That's kind of where I'm at with all that too, Faye. Thank you. It's like, you guys are just beating a dead horse of something that's not even remotely realistic. And that's why I can't even entertain it. It's just, and I've been saying this forever, probably over a year. People bring up some of the same points, and it's like, I'm not even talking about this because you already know certain things are the way they are. Swamp Fox says, Markey stick out of position on the first Kraken goal and sitting on his arse for the second. The second one was bad. Beniers really just undressed him. Chill, Anselmo. This team is the definition of insanity. How do you actively keep running these losers out there and expect anything different? How do you put Markey in net and expect a good performance? Because he's given us some. He's given us some good performances. I mean, you guys are brutal. you would think we just lost 4 in a row. I understand everyone's disappointed. I'm disappointed too that we didn't win 4 in a row. But to finish up the trip 3-1, Michael, don't care what Dawes is doing in the AHL. Every time he's been up for the past few years, he's been solid. I agree with you. And like I said before, you look at his AHL numbers, they're not great. But when you look at his games in the NHL, it's a different story. You can't always just go by AHL numbers. Slurp one is not the responsibility of the head coach to put the best product on the ice. If you're starting Markey, you are negligent in your job duties. I'll be honest. I don't think he is the sole decision maker in terms of the starting netminder. I do think the goalie coach is involved, and I think Fitz is involved as well. I really do. And I don't think that's a conspiracy theory. I do think that is not just solely a Sheldon Keefe decision. David says, Tasha, we're 5-2 in the last 7. We're playing better, even if there are reasons to complain, like third periods, even during the stretch. Some people obviously get off on fan sadism at every opportunity. There's a lot of them here, and they're brutal. Broken clocks are right twice a day. I got to catch up. I fell super behind. Let me try to catch up here. A lot of comments. I'm trying to get more caught up. Neil says force feeding Markstrom is going to cost the season. I think we're at the point now where they're going to have to be really selective with who starts in net. And if they continue to, put Markey out there, if he's continuing to struggle, there's going to be a lot of, questions and kind of things surrounding that. Running with the Wind says, when Fitz trades for you, he won't admit he's wrong. He doubles down. Dude does know how to cut his losses. And I think there's some validity to this. And in this case, it's more so even of the extension, right? Because everybody kind of scrutinized him and talked about like, oh, you had time. Why did you sign Markey to the 2-year extension? And I do think that comes into play with why he's getting, when people question the starts and whatever, I think it's all kind of a function of that. It's like, I signed this guy for 2 more years. He's got to be the guy. And even despite the struggling, they're going to still keep pushing him out there. I definitely think there's something to that, Woodson, and that's not a good trade, obviously. If the guy's struggling, you either, play him less or whatever, and God forbid the struggles continue and it comes to a place where they have to try to figure out how to get rid of him. I mean, and I hope it really doesn't come to that, but that you have to be realistic and realize that is a possibility at some point. And maybe Fitz won't be here to be the guy to do it. I don't know. Trade Logan Jack says, we are family, Fitz says. B now says, I love Jack. I wish we had a Jack on every line to complain about. If only, right? Elite playmaker. Elite playmaker. Great vision, great hands, amazing passes. I wish he could score some more in the near future, but he's obviously dealing with that hand issue. But he's still making plays. NJ Fanatic, we haven't really had goaltending since Marty. I think we were cursed in net. We had a brief stint of a wasted Corey Schneider on bad teams. Woodson says, get drafted and get benched, get traded and get a raise from Fitz. Natasha Schneider was too good for us. He ruined the tank. Yeah, Corey Schneider was solid on some bad Devils teams. Thirst for War says, we are cursed for how the organization handled Marty. I have a shrine to try to appease the angry spirit of Marty, but it's going to take more than pasta and tomato juice to appease him. This studio office is partially a shrine to Marty. And I will always remember and look back on the glory years fondly. It's unfortunate the way it all ended. And I was at that draft that day too, when they announced we traded the pick for Corey Schneider. Very bizarre day. And I do believe that is how Marty found out as well. I don't think Lou told him ahead of time. Very odd behavior, I thought, at the time. And ultimately did, I think, cost both Devils fans and Marty seeing him end his career as a Devil and never wearing another team's jersey. And we'll forever have to listen to the stupid St. Louis Blues legend jokes and once in a while see the photos of Marty as a St. Louis Blue. Mark Richards says, appreciate your positivity and support of Marky, but he's been unplayable for months now. No confidence, isn't reading the play well, giving up juicy rebounds and never gives us a quality start. I think I disagree with that. I think he's had a couple decent starts in the past few weeks, but to a lesser extent of what you're saying, I kind of agree. I think you're a little slightly harsh here. I don't think he's quite unplayable, but yeah, I mean, the numbers are the numbers. And when you watch the games, you're like, damn, there's usually at least one really bad goal. And in some games, there's been multiple. But, like I said, and to Woodson's point, because of that contract, it certainly seems like we're going to have to live through them trying to force it. I do hope at some point, if he does not dramatically improve, that they stop forcing it, because this team still has a chance to pull off the miracle and make the playoffs. If he does not improve his game at all and you just keep throwing him out there, that's kind of punting on the season too. Samuel says, let's face the facts. This team just isn't good enough. Here we are hoping to squeak into the playoffs yet again. Well, I agree. They're nowhere near good enough, even if they get in the playoffs too. But that doesn't mean that I still don't want them to get into the playoffs. Obviously, I want to get in the playoffs. I'm falling behind again. Thirst for War. Schneider was the direct recipient of the Marty curse. The angry spirit of Marty must be appeased. All right, I got to catch up here. Amagi says, Devils fans won't be happy unless we have 4 lines of Connor McDavid and 3 lines of Cale Makar. Yeah, the bar is high, though. This is what happens when people took the bait and they all believed. I'm one of them. This looked like a real contender early on in the season. Swamp Fox says the Devils aren't tanking on purpose. Completely agree with you there. Running with the Woodson. Remember the talk about making the playoffs would be good experience to the core? Yeah, those first round exits really helped our core. I mean, there's so many layers to this. I do think it was still a good experience to the core. I think missing in 23-24 was a massive fail by the organization. But aside from them underachieving as a group, they have been failed by upper management as well. They've never had the appropriate supporting cast, in my opinion. They never did. Now, that doesn't excuse their poor play, especially this season. But in terms of roster construction, they've been failed. The proper pieces, that there should have been absolute foaming at the mouth dogs around them in the lineup, and it never happened. Arnott says, Amagi, we'll be happy when we have a consistent winning team. Go enjoy failure and be a Jets fan. Man, you guys are brutal. Dogzilla, things won't turn around long-term until Fitz is gone. That's kind of where I'm at. I think any real hope for me starts with that. NJ Fanatic, I think Markey is basically done, and we signed a has-been for 2+ years, saddle up. I hope that's not the case, but it's a worry. It's a legitimate worry. Woodson, it's always we hope Luke becomes a bargain, but will never happen. Well, we're not going to know until we know. It's going to take some time. That's right, traveling 3 weeks. 3 weeks till the fun begins. I'm certainly going to walk a lot in Italy. You'll see. I'm walking a lot, getting my steps up. I got to offset all those calories. There's going to be a lot of just constantly just shoveling. I'm very excited for it. Very, very excited. And I will give you guys as part of the vlog, I probably will do a pre-weigh-in and a post-weigh-in. And we'll see. I plan on eating a ton and I plan on walking a lot. I'm hoping it somehow comes out to a net zero, but we'll find out. There's going to be a morning of weigh-in and a weigh-in after the return. NJ Fanatics says Marky needs to steal games. That is what elite tendies do. Would love to see some stolen games. I think someone asked earlier, when was the last stolen game? And I have to think about it. It doesn't come, that tells you that it wasn't recently because I honestly don't remember. Someone could throw it out there if you remember what the last Marky steal was. Travis said, walk into each pastry shop and pizzeria. Oh, it's going to be a time. It is going to be an absolute time. Tasha says, at Woodson, it makes me so annoyed. And then parroting stuff Ace says, but like in the wrong context. I don't know who you're talking about. You guys are in a mood today, huh? People are at each other's throats. Logan D almost knocked over my coffee there. My back is itchy. Logan D says, if Toronto is really on Dougie's list, then Fitz needs to do that now and not wait for the summer. At the very least, I want to know what Toronto is willing to offer. The Dougie dilemma certainly has gotten a little trickier, in my opinion. I'll probably make a separate video about this because there's so many layers to it. There's definitely so many layers to this one. Suka, oh boy, I almost read that out loud. Dawes will sign somewhere and then shut us out every time we play against them. Yeah, it seems like former Devils and specifically goalies really have some good luck and play really well against the Devils. It would not surprise me at all if Dawes goes on to haunt us somewhere else. Justin Smith, Comets beat the Crunch today, 5-1. Malik with another win. Very, very nice. Very nice. Traveling says walking 6 to 10 miles a day. Okay. He's been there and done it. I'm excited for it. Trade Luke and Jack says, if Evie ever got this treatment from running like Marky does. Why are you so obsessed with this? I just don't understand it. It's at this point, it's an obsession. B now, Nemo is a lot younger and a lot less NHL playing time than Luke, so the comparison isn't exactly fair. Let me see. With the injuries and stuff, it might be closer than you think. No, yeah, it's not that close. You're right. I actually thought it was going to be a little closer. Nemo has played 125 games in the league, and Luke has 204. That's it's more than 50% more. It's a fair point. They're both very young and developing at a tough position in the NHL, but comparatively speaking, Luke does have a lot more experience. Now the gap it's not going to close a lot with this injury. If it'll close a good amount actually if Luke never returns, but we still don't know what's going on with that. We don't know what is going on with the Luke Hughes injury. He's trying to rehab. They potentially talked about surgery. We'll see how it all goes. But another injured Devil in a long line of injuries. Yeah, less experience at the NHL level. Traveling, the feasting begins 1 hour from MXP at Milano. Is that Central? Bonzo, I've had it. I can't watch a team that puts the worst goalie in the world out there for no reason. Well, I don't know what you guys are expecting. I mean, I understand the frustration, but you have to realize certain things you just have to realize are fact. And one of them is they are going to force this thing with Marky for a while. Natasha Dodonov was another bad signing by Fitz. The people who say we need a 3C priority is dumb. Glass has been doing great, and it's blatantly obvious Dodonov and Palat are not the answers. Glass is better. Well, I mean, I still think an upgraded 3C and pushing Glass to 4C would make this team a lot better, but Glass has been a very serviceable 3C. at a minimum, if they decide Paul Cotter at center is not the answer, getting a better 4C than Goaltending would also be a nice upgrade. Now Nemo just froze in front of the net on that goal, but I could see Marty saving that. But our standards have gone down. Well, there's no comparison. Marty is the GOAT. I mean, it's hard to, whoever was going to come after him was never going to live up to any sort of comparison, really. Jeremy Proper says 6-game winless streak snapped. Can't score, can't win. Marky needs to ride the pine. Thirst for War says, didn't Jack have 2 points today? What are the haters talking about? Yeah, I don't know. I get that you want to see goals from him, but like his playmaking and the passes that he makes to set guys up is super elite. I mean, super elite passer. But assists aren't good enough for a lot of people. And listen, I want him to score goals too, but his hand is clearly compromised. Like the shot is not the same. So in the meantime, he's just setting dudes up. I mean, I'll take that over nothing. Vecna says Jack with a muffed up hand is still better than the whole team. Yeah. Between his skating vision and still the pass ability, he's still a very dangerous player. Woodson says we need another top center bed. I totally agree with that. I wish we would get one. It might be a summer issue. I mean, really, almost everything maybe something Fitz looks to do in the summer. Trade Luke and Jack says, Running, when will that giveaway bonanza be happening? You talked about 6 months ago. I want some prizes. Oh, that might be limited to to U.S. citizens only for shipping restrictions, but maybe not. But it's definitely going to happen. There's just so many things kind of entailed with that, but it's definitely going to happen. I have a whole box full of stuff, and I keep finding more stuff. It's going to be a lot of stuff, but there'll be an announcement at some point. It will happen. I'm only one guy. I'm trying to do a lot out here. Running Timo is a power play guy that we don't even use. Kind of frustrating with that. Brandon, we are stuck with the goalie tandem we have and the couple inexperienced defensemen we have. Keefe can only do so much. Can only put out there what he's got, right? Crislad, hey, Ace, vote for worst stitch job over the eye tonight. Wait. Vote for worst stitch job over the eye tonight, or that stitch job on Berube's head. I don't even know. I don't think they've said if Pesci required stitches, so we don't really know. He may not have. Vecna says Fitz definitely pulling the lineup strings, no doubt. Could be. We'll never know. Jeremy Proper, power play is working finally, but 5-on-5 is now garbage. Can't win. Yeah, you need to be able to score at even strength. You cannot be a team. You can't be a power play merchant team. Like there's players that are heavily dependent on every team, but as a team to be a power play merchant's insane. Alan, Ace, just my opinion, but I know you love Markstrom and so do I, but we both must realize he is not the goalie we are going to win with at this point. I mean, I'm almost there. I've said the whole time that he's been struggling, that he's struggling, and I hope he bounces back. He had a few good starts. I think it was a couple before and maybe one or two after that Islander beating, but it's just not, game-stealing level of goaltending, and we're going to need that. RA 5315 with the Walter Sobchak profile photo. You see what happens? Larry? Ace, while you're in Italy, kidnap a soccer goalie and bring him to Jersey. Skating will be a transition, but he'll love how little space he has to cover, and presumably he'll have 2 good glove hands. Alex says you can the other top 6 players. I don't care anymore. It's not normal to be this non-existent for so long. They lost their passion and faith in this roster. Jeremy Proper, 134 watching, 43 likes. Smash the like button for your boy. Yeah, hit the thumbs up, please. Hit the thumbs up for your boy. And a 3-1 road trip for the Devils is not too shabby. 750 points percentage hockey. Now they just got to keep doing it. Backs and racks can't lose to bottom dwelling teams if you think we will get in the playoffs. I agree with that too. But we've struggled with bad teams for years now. We got a hashtag fire Fitz. Alex says, Lou traded away Arnott and Sakura and McKay. I won't be hurt seeing these guys leave. Anytime a long-time Devil goes, I'm always a little sad, but it's part of the business. And to improve the team, you have to make those difficult trades. And as I always talk about, the legendary Lou Lamoriello had no qualms about doing so. If he thought he could make a trade to improve the team, regardless of who he was trading, he did it. He did it. Everyone should be tradable, says Running with Woodson. I completely agree with that. Rico says, scratch Markey again, bring up Dawes, see if he'll be like Dougie and do the same with Bratt, Jack. You could tell his wrist is still bothering him still. I don't know that they'll do that. I don't think they will, but I wouldn't be opposed to it just to see if we could get that bounce. But with goalies, I don't know if it's quite the same. I'm trying to think of any scenario that I don't think the Devils have done that before, but you know, for better or worse, I think that they're kind of stuck. Bonzo said Allen would have shut them out. Are you referring to the Kraken? Tasha, Jack never injured his wrist. He cut his finger. I was like, what are you talking about with the wrist? Woodson, no team is crazy enough to trade us their starter for Markey. I wish, but never happening. Well, this is just pipe dreams twofold. Number one, the Devils aren't even going to try to do it. And number two, exactly as Woodson said, you're not getting another starting goalie for him. Beat us a side note, and NJ, that sleet is coming down. Be careful out there, folks. I'm dreading the dig out process tomorrow. I might have to look into the plow situation. Trade Luke and Jack says, watch Glass plays great next season too, and Fitz gives him $7 million. I don't think that's going to happen, but he might get a nice little raise. Devil Dog says, agreed about everyone should be tradable, but for some reason people are in love with Nemitz and Grits and think they're untouchable for some weird reason. I think to think anyone's untouchable is ridiculous, but you know, people have these untouchable lists. It should not exist. No one should be untouchable. If there's a trade to be made that improves the team, it should be explored. That's it. There should be no untouchables whatsoever, but I do think there's a lot of guys that people consider untouchable. David Chime says, Markey, 84th of 90 goalies and goals given up above expected. Ooh, that's pretty brutal. That is pretty brutal. Only one first-round exit with this core. Well, there's only been 2 playoff appearances with this core. And I guess if you're talking about the full core, there's only been one playoff appearance with the full core. One playoff round one in the past 14 years. That's brutal. That is just some really nauseating stuff. Justin Smith says Woodson is so damn negative, it's really annoying. I could get that. Mark Richards says Bratter has always been my boy, but something doesn't smell right with him. Maybe he's injured or maybe he's beaten down by the organization over the last several years, Buffalo style. Could be a combination of a lot of things, but he doesn't look like the same guy. And not to make an excuse for him, but maybe it is injury. Like, it just doesn't make sense. Ben Jamin says, how about Iron Man Pesci? Looked like someone hit him with a shovel and right back on the bench. Oh, you're referring to that? Be right back. I got to handle a situation. Back in 1 second. Be right back. Whoa. I'm still coming out of this winter illness. Going to the man, what a cut. The Disturbed Corn, how did you get tickets to the gold medal game? I've been trying. So Traveling Devil might be able to help you more with that. He's more in tune with pretty much all things Olympics and definitely the ticketing. But I entered the lottery way back when they first had it. And luckily I was able to, when the lottery opened up, I was able to get in there pretty quickly and get the gold medal game, which I'm really, really, really hoping Team USA is in. And they managed to do it. Would love to witness hockey history and see the Americans bring home a gold. But I certainly will be, I'll have a great time on the trip regardless. But that would make it like next level if USA's in that game and they win. Thirst for War. I moved to the Blues market not long before the Marty screw job. Some might say he followed me here. I apologize about being at the game on February 28th to root for my boys. Very nice. Did you happen to see Marty play as a Blue at all? NJ viewer, Keefe is determined to make Marky work even if it's not working. Allen definitely should be number one based on this season's performance. Like I said before, I am not convinced that is solely a Sheldon Keefe decision. And if I had to bet money on it, I would say that it is probably not. I do think there is other voices and opinions and things regarding that, but we will never know. Unless, years from now, Sheldon Keefe writes a tell-all book. Outside of that, we're not going to know what the real deal with that is. B now, Devils still in the playoff hunt. This one just really hurt. I started getting hope. They weren't going to get there in a week or two. It was always going to be a long-term thing, and hopefully they could just continue to put streaks like this together where they could win 3 out of 4, like I said, or 5 out of 8, 6 out of 9, whatever it is. They have to just play high-level points percentage hockey. I was complaining about Ryan's. Oh, okay. Sunshine and Rainbows anti-tumorness. Swamp Fox says Devils feel like pretenders, not contenders. Overall, when you look at the season, sure. But when you look at their best games and their best stretches of games, they did look like contenders. They looked like a contender. Certainly during that 8-game heater in the beginning of the season, they looked like a legitimate contending team when they whipped up on Minnesota on their home ice, but it's just not consistent enough. We don't see that version of the team as often as we need to. Beachmaster says rebuild around Grits, Hameenaho, and Yegorov. I mean, that's so far down the line, man. If they don't ever make a real push with this core, it'd be an atrocity, or some version of this core. I still believe a piece needs to be traded out for a shakeup, both on and off the ice. In so many ways, I think it's long overdue. But if you're talking about rebuilding around these guys, you're talking about being potentially a mediocre team for some years. NJ our team has played well on this road trip, but the third period today was terrible. Bad defense and goaltending. Trade Jack for Kucherov. I don't even know. These are just ridiculous, completely ridiculous suggestions. B now says Nico does look flat and defeated. Sadly, my gut says he has 1 foot out the door. I sure as heck hope not. We're going to find out. I gave my very lengthy kind of thoughts on that even in the summer and said there's, depending on what happens this season, that very well could influence whether Nico is willing to sign an extension this summer when he's eligible, or he may say, I want to go to free agency and test it out. There's certainly going to be teams with better chances to win a cup than the Devils looking to acquire his services. And so he may explore that. Maybe not. I hope he doesn't, but nothing would surprise me at this point. Chris Ladd says, apparently the Blues are listening to offers on Robert Thomas. I'd be willing to trade a Bratt and a package for him. No, I don't think I could do that. Now, a more impact player. How old's Thomas? 26. It's not a definitive no, but if I'm trading Bratt, I don't know. It doesn't scream like immediate yes to me like some other guys would. It could be worth exploring depending on the other, details of the deal. I wouldn't say definitive yes, and I wouldn't say definitive no. I'd need to know all the other details in the deal, but I certainly would consider trading him in a package for something that's going to help the team for sure. And I'm not dying to trade him either, just to make that clear. But, I'm a Lou Lamoriello student. It's all about the crest on the front of the jersey, not the name on the back. You got to improve the team somehow, and somebody's got to get dealt. Somebody's got to get dealt. Swamp Fox says, NJ Fanatic, you don't know hockey if you don't think Schneider was really good on a bad team before his injuries. Ace is old enough to know. Oh, yeah, no. I mean, Schneider was great for a couple of years. If it wasn't for Corey Schneider on one of those teams, at least one of the years, we probably would have been like a lottery pick team. He had insane numbers on a shit team. Let me just pull up his numbers now. I think the numbers were... 13, 14. Yeah, a 197 goals against and 921. Do you know? Oh, my God. I'd kill to have anywhere near that level of goaltending. Even the next year, 14, 15, 226 and 925. If we got goaltending like this, 215 and 924, yeah. And then it started to kind of swell at the end. But even 282 and 908, like what is even Jake Allen's numbers are probably very similar for this year. Let me just see. Jake Allen's 2.61 goals against and a 909. So yeah, very, very similar overall. But 197, 226, and 215 with save percentages all above 920. I think that pretty much dispels anyone questioning some of Corey Schneider's years as a New Jersey Devil. I mean, wow. Yeah, 3 seasons of 226 and below goals against average. One of them 215 and one of them ridiculous 197. And 3 seasons above 920 save percentage. 921, 924, 925. I mean, wow. We can only dream of those types of goaltending numbers today. That would be... Sends up 6-0 over Vegas. Wow. David Chimes, completely different observation. 8 of 16 teams over the playoff line right now missed the playoffs last season. This is a rarity this late in the season for the NHL since the cap era started. Yeah, a lot of teams are in the mix. A lot of teams in the mix. And it's not going to be easy. Got to continue to play high-level hockey to have any chance to get in. I hope it happens. I really hope it happens. In Lou we trust. Kevin Schwartz says, high school Jersey did not pull through this time. Ace, did you watch in your bedroom today? I did. I've watched this whole road trip. Was in my bedroom, and I don't necessarily enjoy it. But I wasn't going to change my routine after winning 3 in a row. I certainly was not. Ben James, I think we could add Timo to the dejected list as well. He looks almost as defeated as Nico. So sad to watch. Is he? I mean, I think everyone's just probably frustrated with how the season has gone, and hopefully Timo starts getting it together too before the month of March. We know once March comes, he's going to get on fire, but I hope it's not too late. Hope it's not too late. Hexerot says, unfortunately, I think a lot of the players just can't reach their potential with the Devils organization. I think you'd see a bunch of them flourish if they left. I completely agree. I could see all these guys winning cups somewhere else. You know, whether it's Timo, Bratter, Nico. I could see all these guys being pretty nice pieces on a contending team. But, you know, in terms of asking them to be the guys here, it just hasn't worked well enough. I mean, I just think that's the honest kind of truth. And maybe they are more of, you know, supplementary guys or complementary guys than the guys. Like they're supposed to be the guys here, but it has not worked out. Carenti88 says VTech was horrible the second the playoffs began. No interest in seeing him in a Devils uniform ever again. I don't think there's any interest by anyone to see him in a Devils uniform ever again outside of trade Luke and Jack. Dakota says, I don't know why, but Pesci looks like a serial killer to me. Thirst for a whole eyebrow stitch back on. Is that a real thing? Tasha Ace, whose USA jersey are you getting if you are even getting one? I will either get a blank, or if I had to get a player on it, I would get clearly Brady Tkachuk. Mark Jorda. No consistency. Every game is so important. They need to play like it. It seems once a team figures out the Devil system, it's so hard for them to change it up. Yeah. They like to play the A game, and they don't love to go to the B and C game. We've seen highlights or flashes of it. But we'll see. We shall see. I'm just scanning the comments here. No one else is stuck on VTech except for one individual. Benjamin says, looking at the standings, I just don't see how we could do it. Well, Benjamin, I'll tell you how they could do it. It's by winning 3 of 4 consistently. I mean, it's a tall order. It's certainly a tall order, but it's not impossible. It may be improbable. Thirst War says, unfortunately, I did not get to see Marty play. His starts were super rare. Yeah, I know. He would he start like 4 games to them, I think. I'm still pissed off about the Islander game. I think I told the story when he was on the Blues. They were playing the Islanders, but he wasn't scheduled to start. But I forget who was the starter. It was either it may have even been Jake Allen, or it may have been Halak. Whoever it was getting lit up by the Islanders. Marty came in relief, and then the Blues ended up winning the game. And there was tons of Devils fans there. I really wanted to go, but I wasn't going to go to there just to see him like in warm-ups essentially and not play the game. And then he ended up playing. It really pissed me off. I was so pissed after that. B now says Marty might be telling Keefe to play Markstrom. We don't really know who calls the shots. We're guessing. I think it'd be more Fitz than Marty, if I'm being honest. Fitz is the guy that re-signed him unnecessarily early. Thirst for War says Nico deserves success. Hold on. Suk says this team is what we all thought it was. Another 3-game winning streak fooled some of you, but I never wavered. Winning contenders don't have third periods like this as often as the Devils do. Yeah, well, I just want to get into the playoffs and hope for a miracle. I mean, not making the playoffs is, and like I told you guys in the previous live that I kind of mentally accepted that like probably a month ago, but man, it's a painful reality given what the expectations were for this team coming into the season. Lex says the Devils need to quit stopping at rest areas and keep their foot on the gas until they reach the end of the game. Yeah, full 60 minutes would be nice. Another thing that we don't see all the time with this team, the killer instinct stuff we've talked about too. Like just smash these teams. When you have them down, just go for the jugular, as my grandfather would say. Rest in peace, Grandpa. Go for the jugular. When you have a team down 1 or 2-0, just go for the kill and keep them down. It was a little discouraging to see them let the Canucks back into that last game as well. Like that should have never been a game, and we had to sweat it out. Off them Devils, says Ace. What's going on? David chimes, Ace, Robert Thomas's legit star. His scoring numbers are suppressed by modified trap system employed by the Blues to attempt to make up for really terrible goaltending and team play. I don't see a ton of the Blues. I know he's a good young player. So do you think it's worth trading Bratt in a package for him, David chimes? I'd be curious. I just felt like if we were going to trade Bratt in a package, like make it for a big splash. But I think Thomas could be a splash. Maybe I was getting a little too greedy with my expectations, especially now. Travelin says, I wish I knew what was going through Waz's head when we watched Markey stay in net for the 9 goals. Yeah, a lot of the young people probably don't know. He was famously left in net in Montreal for a game. He was getting lit up, and I forget what year it was. Just getting lit up, and then I think he told the GM of the Canadians, like on the bench or something, like I'm never playing a game for you again. I forget how many goals he was kept in for, but it was a very famous incident. It was ultimately led to Patrick Roy being traded to the Colorado Avalanche. And the Doomer Chat Award goes to Suk, Trade Luke and Jack, and Woodson. They're all the same person, SST. I actually don't think Woodson might not be. Travelin says Brad is good when the rush worked. Thirst for War. I busted out my cursed Kovalchuk 2012 final jersey twice since the Dougie benching. We won both. That's a classic. That's a Kovalchuk jersey is definitely a classic. Nirvana sucks. Wow, that's a pretty hot take, I would say. Travin said they're effing up with the jersey sales again. Yeah, I think he's referring to the fact that a lot of the jerseys are sold out, and it's like it seems like everything with hockey seems to be kind of we'll call it problematic in that there's never enough of them. There's always shortages, delays with the Stadium Series jersey. They were sold out. They had put Jack Hughes' entire name on the back. Like, there's always something. Traveling said, I'd be surprised if I get either of the two I ordered before I fly out. Damn. You ordered two and they're not here? Suk says they can't win 3 or 4. I think you meant 3 of 4 consistently. I mean, probably not, but it doesn't have to be that high. 750 is super high, but like 4 of 6, 5 of 8 is 625. Like 5 of 8 for stretches could keep them in the mix. Bobby, thank you for the super, sir. Good evening, Ace. Another tough loss. I love how all the idiots are trying to blame this loss on Nemo. Number 1, Markey sucked per usual. Number 2, our offense is in hibernation and can't score. I'm over the BS and some things need to change. Yeah, I mean, Nemo made a horrible play there. I'll be honest. It was terrible. He was just watching. But, like, you know, that single play doesn't lose the game. To your point, Markey, I think Markey's getting a little killed more than he should for this game. He did not play good. But I do think when you look back at the whole thing, it's like, where is the offense? Where is the offense? It's rough. 5-on-5 scoring has been brutal and non-existent. It was completely non-existent today. And it's a recipe for losing hockey games, obviously, when you could only score on a power play. And they couldn't even do that for a while. The power play was awful up until like, a week ago, a few days ago. The power play was a black hole. I think the spark, started a couple games ago when they threw Connor Brown out there. But I completely agree. The offense has been in hibernation for most of the season, and relying on goaltenders, especially Markey, to only allow a goal or two to give you a chance to win is crazy. It's completely crazy. These guys need to wake up. They need to start burying some goals. But thank you very much, Bobby. Very frustrating season, obviously. Crazy Alex says, ideally we win the next game. Or we win 3 of the next 4 or 2 of 4 minimum. 2 of 4 is not good. That's 500 hockey. That's terrible. Benjamin says, Ace, I think there are teams with way more grit than us with games in hand. We are way too soft, perhaps. Oh, it's not perhaps. We're way too soft for sure. We are way too soft for sure. And it needs to change. I've said for a long time now that I do think the identity of this team is a flawed one, and that it is this finesse skill kind of team. And while I appreciate those guys, and you certainly need some of them to win, that cannot be the entire identity of your hockey team. And that's what the identity of the New Jersey Devils is right now. And it has been for a while. And you see where we've gotten. Missed the playoffs and smacked out of the first round in 5 games in the last 2 years. I mean, that's just not acceptable. And until certain things change, that's pretty much going to be the ceiling for this team as assembled. Devil Dog says they performed at Maxwell's in Hoboken right when Bleach was released, and you could see some photo shot along the Hudson River waterfront and on some stoops on Washington Street in Hoboken. I never knew that. Devil Dog. I'm not like a huge Nirvana guy, but I like a lot of their stuff. I never knew those tales. I'm tabbing that. Oh my God, there's videos. There's videos on YouTube of this. Oh man, I'm going to go down the black hole after this. Thank you for enlightening me to that, Devil Dog. I never knew about that. And I certainly look forward to watching some of these and maybe reading about this. Devil Dog 1989, some iconic photos of the band in Hoboken. That's very cool. Ritter Engine says, why did Keefe decide to play Markey? I don't know when you got here, Ritter Engine. I've said it like 10 times during this live now. I think there's more than just Keefe involved here. I don't think this is an entirely a Sheldon Keefe decision. Now, I don't think GM decisions happen in a bubble. I think many voices are listened to. No, I would hope so. Yeah, but ultimately, there's like an advisory board or a committee, whatever you want to call it. But ultimately, the buck stops with Fitz. He is the ultimate decision maker. Justin says Vitek was never an elite goalie. And then Travelin says, why is Vitek even being brought up? I'm with you. Suk says this team's version of going for the jugular is akin to throwing soft serve swirly ice cream cones at a 260-pound power lifter. Yeah, I would like to see some more Killer Instinct. Ben James said, I found my Richer jersey the other day. Sweet. That's another nice one. A 44. That's a nice vintage classic. I'm curious in the chat. Let me know who else is in New Jersey and snowed in, and how many inches of snow do you think you got? I don't really know. It's hard for me to tell looking out the window. I haven't even opened the door or anything. I've just been enjoying my indoor day here, but I'm not going to enjoy the dig out tomorrow. That is not going to be fun. Travis says, my USA jersey was supposed to be here last week. It's now 2-3 to 2-9. Ooh, that certainly is cutting it close. That is certainly cutting it close. I'm going to have a late dinner tonight. Well, it's not that late. And maybe I'll watch some of this football game. I don't even... Wojtek, Gabrielli. Hey, I was at the game. The first goal against looked very bad live. It's a shame they couldn't treat you to an in-person win. Do you live out on the West Coast, or did you travel for the game? Wojtek. The Italy jerseys are sweet too, traveling. I might have to grab one of those as well. NJ Fanatic, that was one of my first Devils jerseys, number 44 Richer, and I gave it to an ex-girlfriend, never did get it back. Oh, you made the mistake of loaning something out like that? That's like hoodies. A lot of women love to steal the clothes. Hoodies and jerseys for sure. Yeah, 5 of 8 is 625 hockey. I mean, that'll at least keep them in the mix. But 5 of 8 is not super unattainable. Would like to see a higher level than that, but David S., what's going on? What's up, Ace? Just got in from shoveling for the third time. Oof. That's discouraging because I'm just waiting till the end. I don't like to do the multiple rounds. It might not have been the best. It may not have been the best strategy. We're gonna find out. But yeah, we get teases a lot within games, within stretches. I'm on record saying a while back I don't think we make the playoffs. And again, I would love to be wrong. I'm not one of these people that says negative stuff and then fist pumps, yeah, when it's proven right. Like, I say it just because it's what I really believe, but I want to be wrong. I genuinely would love to come on here the day we, in this hypothetical world, clinch a playoff spot and be like, guys, your boy Ace is an idiot. I should have never doubted this group. I should have believed that despite the mathematic improbability from whatever date we started talking about this, that this New Jersey Devils team was going to make the playoffs, and shame on me for ever doubting them. I would love nothing more than to say that if and when they make the playoffs. But the math is the math. It has been the math for a while, and it's improbable. Bobby says, Brad is useless in my opinion. I say we package him for Thomas. At least Thomas could score. Like I said, I would need to know the other details of the deal. I wouldn't be against it, but I'd be curious to know if there's a potential bigger splash trade to be made if you're trading away Bratter. But it's definitely something worth exploring. Travis, I'm waiting on a 43 USA being Quinn Hughes and an away Italy. Art says offense. What about the defense? D on this team sucks. It doesn't always suck. It sucks often. Tonight it was a little sloppy, but I mean, yeah, I don't want to sound like I'm just making excuses. Like, those are really two unfortunate bounces. The first and third goals. You know, if even one of those doesn't happen, this game likely goes to overtime and we get a point at a minimum. And even if we lost in overtime, which would have sucked too, but it's still better than losing in regulation and coming home with 7 out of 8 points versus 6 out of 8. is certainly nice. B now says Nirvana at Maxwell's is amazing. WFMU fan and knew of this show before. Maxwell's is legendary. I'm glad I'm learning something today. Justin said, I'd rather listen to Taylor Swift than Nirvana. That's how much I hate Nirvana. Damn, bro. What did Nirvana ever do to you? Collect records. I was at that Maxwell show. Kurt Cobain was puking outside after. Dude from Melvin's played drums. What? Hold on 1 second. This is crazy. Did you take any pictures or anything? I mean, this is going back with... That's insane. You were at the show. Collect records. Would love to hear some more of the stories of what you remember. Kurt was puking outside after, huh? Dude, 89. So you're talking about 37 years ago. That's insane. I don't know how I've never heard about this. Like I said, I'm not like a huge Nirvana guy, so I don't, go research some of these. But I did know that like they were on the bar scene, like a lot of bands start out and all that. But I'd never realized they had played Maxwell's in Hoboken. Bobby says, well, to be fair, he's been hurt for a good portion. 20 goals out of Brad is unacceptable for a top line guy. I completely agree with that too. Like 20 goals for Bradder is a fail. Like I could accept even 25 if you're putting up 60, 70 assists, but 20 goals, like that's just not going to do it. Trolling in paradise, and the Devils are coming home with a loss after sweeping the Western Canada trip. Next game is Tuesday, but unfortunately there's a severe cold weather advisory right now in New Jersey. Well, it's more than a cold weather advisory, my guy. We're buried in snow. Ben Jamin says he's got 10 inches. I didn't even open the door, but looking at my car, I could see my car out the window, and maybe it's just because where it's parked, but it doesn't look like more than maybe 4 inches. I'm hoping that's what it is, but if I go open the door, it's probably going to be way worse. Alex says we got quite a bit in D.C. Robbie's bench toss. I'm a Floridian, 0 inches of snow. I'm jealous. I am super, super jealous. Frank says Westfield 16 inches. Dig out tonight. If you let it freeze overnight, you're in for a rough morning. Oh, God. I'm not trying to go outside and shovel right now. That's insane. I might just have to get to do the plow situation. Benjamin says still roll Soundgarden, Audio Slave pretty often too. Man, I remember when Audio Slave first hit the scene. I think that was like 03-ish. It reminds me of going to a lot of Islander games with my boy Pat at Nassau Coliseum. Pulp Mystic tied on the road with 10 minutes left. You got to come away with a point. Horrific game management, and that game winner by the Kraken is hard to take. Same old Devils tonight. It was a brutal one. Got to win the third period. That was a third period to come home perfect. Man, that Beniers goal should have never happened. Collect records. Maxwell was the best. Saw Nirvana, Smashing Pumpkins, Sonic Youth, Pavement, a million punk and hardcore shows, and everyone else there. It got bought and turned into a brewery. When did that happen? Damn, that's a lot of people that played. Was that like a main spot? That must have been like a main spot for a lot of bands to play. If all those people were there. Dude, now you guys got me bugging out about the snow. I think I'm just going to have to get a plow. I don't want to do all that. Fugazi there was the pinnacle. I'm not familiar with Fugazi. Benjamin says, absolutely, you needed at least one, especially after 2 power play goals. Like Keith said, you don't lose games with 2 power play goals. Yeah, but this Devils group can because there's no 5-on-5 production. It really sucks. Yeah, I'm depressed. I mean, listen, 3 of 4, I'm still happy, right? 750 hockey, but you got to be greedy in these situations, and especially when you had the 1-0 lead and you do get 2 power play goals, like this one really sucked. And if you saw Dilly talking after the game, he looked pretty upset about the loss. The man from Jersey says, thought I was off tomorrow because of the weather. Just got a call to go in. Now I have to be up at 3 a.m. FML. Oh, boy, you better get to sleep soon. I mean, you still got some time. What's that, 8 hours? Traveling says, 90s music scene was awesome, especially small venues. I can only imagine. I was too young. I was a wee lad during that time, but I'm familiar with a lot of the bands and stuff of the time, and I can only imagine how great some of these small concerts would have been for these groups. Collect Records has no photos. He said that was back when clubs and bands were still really iffy about letting you in with a camera. And I was 16. I would have had my mom's point and shoot. Nice. Well, then how the hell? Wait, so then I'm curious. Are these like official videos? I just tabbed it on my screen so I wouldn't forget to look it up later. But I tabbed, where the hell did it go? Nirvana Maxwell's Hoboken, and there's a bunch of videos on YouTube. Were those like videos they had taken? Those like official band videos? 9 degrees right now in North Jersey. Wow. Where is it that cold? I haven't really looked. Ryan, it says 21. Up here in Canada, half of my front door is buried in snow. We've had almost 50 centimeters of snow. Damn. What is that, like 20 inches? Bobby has 20 inches in DC. Benjamin, what's everyone's thoughts on Winnipeg Tuesday night? They got to get the dub for Johnny Mac. Johnny Mac is going into the ring, and they got to get the dub. I think they historically, let me see something. Back at the old arena, I think they were like nearly, or it was a very good record. It may have even been undefeated in like Stanley Cup banner raising games or jersey retirements. I think they won every single one. Like if a banner went up for either a retired player or a Stanley Cup, it was a win. And just quickly referencing, last year they did beat the Bruins. The Devils did beat the Bruins last year on Jacques Lemaire Ring of Honor night. That was January 22nd. That was the game Markey got hurt. That was when Markey got hurt. And now let me check Sarge. Sergey Brelin Ring of Honor night was a 6-2 loss to the Stars. That complicates things a little bit. Yeah, Ring of Honor night. It's going to be a good one. Tosh said saving up for Foo Fighters tickets this fall. I didn't even realize they were still doing shows. Didn't they do a stadium shows not too long ago? That's a band that I wouldn't mind seeing. I typically only go to concerts of like people or groups or bands that I really like. But Foo Fighters might be right on that line. Thirst Force is probably someone from the club at the soundboard with a camcorder. I'd be curious to know. It must have been somebody affiliated with them if they have all this footage. No, I'm just curious. I'm not saying obviously I know video existed then, but someone had said that they were skeptical of people with recording stuff. So that's why I was wondering who did it. Look, Travelin's been learning Everlong on a guitar lately. Very nice. Sook says Hellebuck is going to embarrass the Devils. Hopefully the Devils embarrass Hellebuck. Wouldn't that be nice? Hopefully Hellebuck stands on his head for Team USA and that they could bring home a gold. Bring home a gold. Yeah, Breland, we got smoked by Dallas. I couldn't remember offhand. I had to go reference the schedule from that season. Traveling Devils better not blow it for Johnny Mac. Hopefully they do not, and they do him proud. Do it for Johnny Mac. Frank says Mac got the goal that put us in the playoffs for the first time. Have another donut. The lean years of the Devils before my time, but I am very familiar with the Johnny Mac overtime goal in Chicago against Darren Pang to send the Devils to the playoffs for the first time ever. All the old timers talk about how glorious it was as a fan. Frank's is on a night like tonight sending cheers out to the 334 Club. Man. Dakota, for those of you who are alive, what are your thoughts on Neil Broughton? I recently read a book about the 1980 Olympics hockey team, and it mentioned he was on the 95 Devils team. Yeah, he was a 95 Cup champ, Neil Broughton. Also a member of the Miracle on Ice team, as you referenced. Tasha's Foo Fighters aren't playing MSG, though. Closest they're playing would be Philly or DC. At stadiums or arenas? I guess I could look this up, right? I'm kind of hungry. I didn't really eat that much today. So the Foo Fighters are overseas in the summer. Oh, it's stadiums. Stadiums in the summer. You got Ford Field in Detroit. They're playing the stadium in Toronto. Soldier Field in Chicago. Cleveland, Philly, Nashville, Nationals Park in D.C., North Dakota, and then they're in Canada, and then they go to Vegas. That looks like it's it. Wasted Youth, Caper, here in Cape Breton, Nova Scotia. It's minus 15 Celsius, which is 5 Fahrenheit. Yeesh. That is brutal. That is absolutely brutal. Collect Records, Asbury had the fast lane, and they had killer shows. Collect Records was apparently hitting every venue in the area from a young age. Much respect. Much respect. My man Chase Brogan smashed the like button for Ace. Thanks, Chase. Maybe, you know, I can't see the numbers in the program, as you know. But a lot of stinginess going on these days. Mark says, USA all the way, get gold. Would love to see it happen. To be there in the stadium in Italy and witness Team USA win a gold medal would be the second coolest sports thing I've ever seen, only to the Devils winning the Cup in 03. Like Team USA, while I, love Team USA hockey, no matter what the tournament, it can never be the same as the Devils winning the Cup, but it's the next best thing. It's going to be a great tournament. I'm pumped for it. Tasha says Freebird is going to be on blast all February. Oh, let's go. Let's go. Carenti, shame we didn't get Hellebuck when those rumors came out a few years ago. I wonder what that package would have looked like. So it's funny you mentioned that. I think one of my first videos I ever made, not first, but a very early video of this channel, when those rumors came out, I talked about how much I wanted Hellebuck, and that because I am a student of Lou Lamoriello University, I firmly believe in building a team from the net out, and that Hellebuck would have been an amazing addition for the Devils. Obviously, it never happened. And I remember tons of our fans at the time going, oh, he's going to want $8 million. They're talking about $8 million like it was something crazy. I'm pretty sure most Devils fans, or at least logical ones nowadays, would be thrilled to pay Connor Hellebuck $8 million a year. Frank says, I'm just curious, what is Foo and what are they fighting? I don't know that I know. Lil Drewski, what a bad loss, but oh well, only one game, stay positive. I still believe NJ Devils for life. I mean, I'll still watch every game and root for them. It's a tall order at hand, but I would love to see it happen. Nancy says Kovacevic has been better than Luke. Devil's Den says, I just messaged my boss telling him I'm not coming in tomorrow. Screw this. I mean, that's pretty wild. 20 inches, and they're telling you need to go into work. I mean, it seems pretty unreasonable, in my opinion. Sook says nearly everyone has been better than Luke except Markstrom. Traveling Devil wants to know what everyone else is playing on the guitar. I wish I could play the guitar. It's way too late for me now. It's something I wish I did when I was younger, especially if you had that in college, if you catch my drift. Lil Drewski, keep up the great work. Love your podcast, live shows. Keep it up. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. It's not as fun after losses, but, we're all just here. Oh, I forgot about my loser beverage. Sipping on our loser beverages, talking about this team, the game, and we've went down the side road of all kinds of things after after Collect Records revealed he saw Nirvana at a little bar in Hoboken in 1989. Go Team Canada. I know you would, you Canadian. Hopefully they play in the gold medal game. It'd be great. It'd be completely phenomenal. B now says, Hellebuck, man, we can only dream. Imagine having Hellebuck right now, my outlook on life would be different. Never mind. My whole outlook on life would be different. Ways to Youth Cape are getting ready to go to Ottawa to see the Devils Saturday. We are second row glass visitors bench right there with the guys. We'll be sporting our Devils jerseys and a Cape Breton flag. Very nice. Who does your, what, do you have a player's jersey or is it a blank? The man from Jersey says, good luck, bro. Hopefully neither of us has to go in. I'm trying to sit on my ass, order some pizza, and binge watch shows with my wife. Well, I think the argument would be if they could deliver pizza to you, then you could probably get to work. I don't know. Devil Dog says, drop the Freebird thing. It didn't work the first time. Adam Fox ruined everything worse than Luke in that final. Chris, what's up? He says, yeah, but Ace, you had a deep team at the time. I don't understand why the Rangers signed Igor to 11.5 with no team. They build from the net in, not the net out. You can say the Panthers did similar. But I get your point, but like really, how deep was this team? We just had a good season for the first time and made the playoffs for the first time in a while. They did set a franchise record with 112 points and beat your Rangers in the first round. But with Igor, like what did you want them to trade him? Like what was their option? Their hands were kind of tied. No, I'm curious. Did you want to trade him? Like, because if he didn't get paid, what were you going to do? It's too late traveling. It's way too late. I'm not good at stuff like that. I know I'm not. Even when I was younger, I wouldn't have been good. Now that I'm old, forget about it. My bandwidth is already stretched too far. Stretched way too far. And the big trades came a season or two after. What do you want the Rangers to do now? You want them to completely blow it up, I think, right? Dakota, it's -1 in Minnesota, and the heat of my car stopped working. Hopefully, whatever my dad did fixed it. That's pretty brutal. Metalander, what's going on? He said maybe we could get Rachel Herzog to give Mercer some tips on fighting. Yeah, I forgot about that. I mean, he had good intentions. He grabbed the dude, and the gloves were off. I don't think he threw a single punch. I'd have to go back and watch. It was more of a wrestling match, but sticking up for the boys, I don't mind it. I don't like the 2, 5, and 10 thing. The 17 minutes of penalties is insane. Wasted Youth Caper, Jack Hughes, jersey. I bought in Jersey, and the woman's going to be wearing a Bratt jersey. Okay. They don't need to know that. That's true. You'd be like, oh, I'm just, scouring the cabinets for whatever we have here. Meanwhile, you're getting fresh, large cheese pizzas like Kevin McAllister. Frank says, my old college coach said you start with the D, then build out in both directions. His mentor was the great Al Arbor. Okay. Crazy Alex says, running with the Devils band with Ace on the vocals. No, that wouldn't be pretty either. Chris says, you were at least 2 centers deep. That's something. Not trade, but call his bluff. Let him walk to free agency. Of course, I don't like anyone on this team. I think someone would have paid him. I don't know if they would have paid him that. But you see how it goes with goalies, Chris. Everyone's always looking for goalies. I think he would have got paid. Collect says the new Epiphones are inspired by Gibson or Killer. My brother works for Gibson in Nashville, and they're going all out with those when it comes to quality. You guys are talking about gear now. Okay. The man from Jersey, we're so overworked in this country. Tell him. Shit, I could use a day or 2 off. I usually work 7 days a week and go a month without a day off. That is brutal. Chris, the only guy I liked in the last 5 years was Kreider and Kane. Whatever happened with that, by the way? Was there ever like a consideration by the Rangers or Kane to sign him beyond that season? Beachmaster says Grits, Hameenaho, Nemo, and Yegorov are the new core. If that's the case, we're doomed, bro. We're doomed. Then you're talking about not being truly competitive, or at least truly a contender for a while, and that would really break my heart even more. Tasha says, never too late to start Ace. Maybe Gaslight Anthem's taking new members. I don't even know what that means. I know they're a group, but it is too late for me. Like I said, I would have struggled with that as a kid, I think. Trying to do it now. I can only do so many things. Like I said, with regular life stuff, this channel, others, there's just I have no time or bandwidth for new stuff. At least instruments, maybe something that doesn't take up time, and I also don't like sucking at stuff too. And I know I would suck probably forever. So it's just another reason why it's never going to happen, but something I regret. Chris, one thing I appreciate about you is your common sense. It sounds like you side with and understand Drury's mindset. Most Ranger fans want him fired and they're out of their minds. Yeah, he made mistakes, but he's a genius. I don't know enough about it. It does seem like most Ranger fans hate him, but I do know that he did things that our GM could only dream of in terms of trading out undesirable contracts. Like the fact that he traded Trouba without retention, and everyone bashes him, and I guess everyone has their reasons, Ranger fans. But when people are like saying that there's not really any Fitz defenders anymore, honestly, at this point, but people would. And a lot of people would say, like, look, other GMs are able to get rid of bad contracts. There's no reason not to move some of ours. Wasted Youth, smash the like, guys, for Ace. Thanks. Appreciate that. Hit the thumbs up. It takes half a second. If you're not subscribed, what are you waiting for? Hit the subscription button or subscribe button. And if you're already subscribed, hit the notifications button, because Sometimes there's random things that come out of nowhere, and then you're going to miss it. And then you're going to be upset, maybe. SJ says, can't score, so frustrating. It's the frustration of the season. Inability to score 5-on-5. At least one encouraging thing kind of coming out of the road trip is that I guess obviously the glass line with Hameenaho has been a nice story. And the fact that the power play has arisen from their coma. But the 5-on-5 scoring is just not occurring, and it's a terrible thing. They're not going to go anywhere if they can't score at even strength at 5-on-5. Puck Rock Ranger says, I'm late here. Do you play music, Ace? What kind of stuff are you into? Do you mean play music on here or play music like in my life? Or do you mean like play instruments? I can't play anything. I'm lucky I get this microphone and camera to work. I wish I was musically gifted in some way, but I listen to it. That's about it. Regret not playing the instruments. I do have some boys that had guitars in college, and that was a lethal weapon. A guitar in college is certainly a lethal weapon. Tosh said, guitar is actually full rage bait, and if you don't practice for a week, you absolutely suck, and all your skill is gone. So you're right. It's insanely frustrating. Yeah, I don't need that. I'd be smashing guitars like some of the rockers. I'd be like, wait, what? Just smashed. Chris said, I don't know if he wanted to resign, but the room was toxic. Kane and Trouba had a fallout. It's very interesting. Stone Temple Pilots are so good. They got some classics as well. David Chimes, jury is terrible. Destroyed the locker room, ruined a core, gifted to him. An example of a GM actually worse than Fitz. Interesting take. Chris, I don't agree, David. That locker room was a bunch of softies. Kane wanted nothing to do with these scrubs, and Jury picked up on it and got rid of them one by one. He didn't need to trade Kreider. Seabones, Ace, who do you feel needs to be traded out of our forward core? No trade not being a factor in the question. I think a move away from Timo. I like to do because he's a stronger forward. People have asked this before. If I had to pick, I would go with Nemo. I'd go with Bradder just because Timo is our only remotely physical top six player, and this team is too soft overall. You need to get nastier, not less nasty. And I do think that moving on from Timo would certainly be a step in the wrong direction, in my opinion. Now, I am a little disappointed with him as of late. I'd like to see him get a little more activated in this department, but I don't think that moving on from him would be wise. Ways to do with Caper. We need to have some of these Metro teams losing games. Sucks. I can't see Dougie going anywhere this year. What do you want, Ace? Still a finisher would be good. Anything that could help this team win. And certainly score goals, right? For me, I think now the number one want for me is probably the top six winger. For a couple weeks ago, when Goaltending was still playing, I said 3C because I wanted Glass to get pushed to 4C and get Goaltending out of there, push Glass to 4C and have a new 3C. But if they're going to keep Cotter at center for the long term at 4C and Glass at 3C, then I think the best piece you could get is a top six winger that could bury the puck. I do think Jack, while he could score goals, obviously, I do think he is an elite playmaker and can really set guys up in ways that not many players on across the league can, and create from, blowing by guys with his skating, puck movement, puck handling, all that stuff, and then actually execute beautiful passes even through traffic to set guys up. I think the problem is he's never played with enough pure goal scorers and finishers. Like if he's playing with finishers, I think he could probably have 70 assist seasons if he had guys that could bury the puck, but he hasn't really played with them consistently. So I do think that's kind of hampered him. I think you got to get a finisher for Jack. I think that's the number one want. Metalhander says this is random, but DOJ needs to investigate salary fraud, millions of dollars being fraudulently laundered to Sweden and Switzerland. Oh, God, I didn't get it. Now I get it. It's pretty funny. I was like, what the hell is this guy talking about? I got it now. Seabone says Brad is a fair answer. Chris says the core gifted to him is not true. The previous regime drafted Anderson, Kraftstov, Nils Lundqvist, Keandre Miller, Braden Schneider in the first round, and none panned out. Those are some decent misses. Ways to do with Caper says I can see them moving on from Bratt while he has trade value. Unfortunately, his value is probably down too. All right, guys, I'm going to the bathroom for 1 second. Be right back. Be right back. But look at that stat. Dougie's a beast. Dougie's an absolute beast. And we're back. And we are so back. But yeah, on the trade front, I'm not expecting much. I've told you folks this for a couple months. The Fitz playbook is kind of out there, and it's more of off-season summer acquisitions than trades in season. I would love to be proven wrong on that too, but I think that is going to be largely dependent on what this team looks like closer to the trade deadline. I mean, if you're expecting anything before, obviously the Olympic break is almost here. Clearly nothing is happening before that. And so if this team is closer to a playoff position, that may inspire him to make a move. But if they kind of fall out, you're definitely not going to see anything of substance brought in. And if anything, you might see like a minor sell move of some kind, even though we don't have a lot of sellable pieces, in my opinion, especially with all the guys with trade protection. I mean, a lot of people are like the Devils should be sellers. Like, who are you selling? For all the people that are like, sell, what exactly are you selling? And the whole team has trade protection. Gleason, another Timo hater that does just pounding the narrative home every chance he get. When we got Timo, he's supposed to score 35-40, not be a bull once every 15 games, and not be able to put the puck in the ocean off a boat. Like, dude, number one, misusage. You can't ignore the misusage. I'm tired of talking about the same shit every game. The guy is not on power play one every power play one. He should be. Furthermore, he's still tied for he's still tied for second on the team with 13 goals. I mean, I don't know what more you want. It's disappointing, but keep that same energy for everybody else. The entire team, except for maybe a couple guys, the entire team has underperformed this season. And so I love how you constantly, with the narrative, constantly have to bring up Timo literally every game. It's after every game. The guy's second on the team with goals. What more do you want? I would like him to score more goals too. I would like everybody to score more goals, but that is not the world we live in right now. Esther says, Timo career-wise is a 60 points player. I don't know why you expected more. Because these people decide they don't like somebody, and then they just complain about them till the end of time. It's very frustrating. Like, he's playing on his off wing. He's not on power play one. Like, how many times do we have to say the same thing? But then you come back with the same stuff every game. Ben Jamin says, I have a can of Olifant 25% THC beverage. I'm going to slam that sucker and do some live Hendrix. I don't know. That sounds pretty lethal. That might put me in the grave in my old age. I don't know. So score 60 points then and pay him for 60 points. I mean, are you mad at all the other guys too? I'm very curious. Traveling says, I actually think it's the Devils system. Metal said, am I the only one wondering how Luke has a season-ending shoulder injury from a collision with absolutely no one? It is suspect. We don't know that it's season-ending, but it seemed like he reacted after the guy tugged on his jersey, but it's possible that it just kind of popped like right before that, and it happened. The guy happened to pull his jersey. I don't know. It was a very weird sequence, for sure. It seemed like a very kind of nothing play. Tasha said, no. We lead the league in no trade clauses. There's nothing to sell. Seabones, the whole team has protection. That's the issue. It's all on Fitz. B now says, Timo is a keeper here. No way he's a problem. I'm with you. Is he underperforming this season, and would I like to see him do more? Absolutely. But to say, like, he's this colossal failure that some of these people say, like, I will never agree with that. We need the grit. Completely agree. Sook says, I like Timo, but he hasn't lived up to what most thought. I mean, that's fair. But who has? Puck Rock Rangers says, shout out dope current NJ bands Come Myrdia and School Drugs. Those are some interesting band names. If I'm being honest, I've never heard either one of them. Gleason says, I'm mad at everyone, but everyone else seems to be fair game and not him. He's getting plenty of power play one time. That's why he has the 6 goals. He just can't score for shit 5-on-5. Nobody is scoring at 5-on-5. But you constantly bring up Timomeier and nobody else. After every single game, I think it's every single game at this point. Thirst for War says it was a jersey pull. It seemed like it could have been something right before that, but it did when he actually reached back was right after the jersey pull, and certainly seems bizarre. David Chime says, Ace, you got to see by now how Keefe has killed everyone's offense. Jump on board. No offense, Keefe, big part of the problem. It's just not finishing. Worst 5-on-5 goal differential in entire, I guess, NHL. But again, I'll keep saying the same thing. They're getting a ton of chances. And they, like, even today, there was a couple sequences where the puck was like laying in the crease and we got guys whacking at it. There was one with Nico. It was a golden opportunity. I think he got stuffed by DeCord's pad on the goal line. Like, at some point, you have to be like, these guys cannot finish. And like I said the last time you brought this up, could Keefe's system be a contributory factor? Probably, but that is in no way the cause of the bad offense and the subsequent struggling season. I mean, these guys cannot finish. So you're telling me in some magical new system, they're going to generate more chances per game, and then they're somehow going to start finishing? I can't buy it. I just can't buy it personally. Wasted Youth Caper says, Marky always looks shaky when Jake is in there. My nerves are less shot. It's definitely a more calming experience as a Devils fan during Jake Allen starts than the Jacob Markstrom thrill roller coaster. I do agree with that, but they're committed to Markstrom, and so we're going to be living with this for quite some time, I believe. Ashley said they don't put him in the OV spot enough. He would score more goals there. That's what he did in San Jose. I agree with that too. You saw how he succeeded in San Jose. Use him the same way. It's not rocket science. B now says every single player, Markstrom included, is underperforming. Not even Fitz can be blamed for that. No, but what you can blame Fitz for is watching the car crash without ever doing anything to fix it. I mean, we've seen a lot of the same things for a while now. At some point, you have to say, this is a personnel type issue, and I need to bring in some new blood. Benjamin says, I think Timo's another victim of whatever the hell is going on in our locker room. It's hot and cold. It's an interesting theory. Robbie's bench toss 5 games until the break, 5 games until the deadline when they get back. 2 crucial sets to determine the rest of the year. Very true. Would love to see them, make up some ground and kind of give Fitz a little nudge to make some moves. Devil Dog says, Debbie Harry from Blondie grew up in Hawthorne, but they were a punk band who sold out to make it big. It's interesting. Bobby says, I just want this team to win. I'm completely there with you. NJ Viewer, worst 5-on-5 in 2025. Keefe is the issue. But again, no blame for the players that are getting enough chances and just cannot finish. No blame for the players, and we blame this all on Keefe. It's just a very interesting thing in my brain. Bobby said, enough with Timo. Literally no one on this team had lived up to their expectations. Completely agree with that. Tasha said, I mean, to be fair, Calgary fans warned us about how shaky Markey was. A lot of them did. They talked about that first shot thing, which has turned out to be kind of true. Brandon says, missed the game and just here. Did I miss anything crazy from the game? Not really. Not in my opinion. It was just a terrible third period that cost us the game. NJ Viewer, if Keefe is rolling over to Fitz on Markey, then he should just quit out of principle. Yeah, I do think that there's more than just his opinion with the goaltending situation. SJ, I love Timo. We just need more guys like him to bring more of the bull in him. Talked about this a million times too. I think so. Surround guys like that with more guys like that, and they kind of feed off each other. Right now, Timo is the only one who's even showing any signs of that intermittently. That hit on Aho against the Canes was sick. He crushed him. Tasha said, I wonder if Luke's shoulder was a surgically repaired one. I believe it's the other shoulder. Wasted Youth Caper, the boys just missed the net a lot. Keep the puck low to the ice. I am a goalie, and the on-ice shots are the hardest to stop. Well, it wasn't for Decord, who got that pad down. Metalander, this team doesn't deserve Pesce. He's an absolute warrior and deserves better. Love Pesce. Blocks, pucks, just does everything. Lays his body on the line. He took a face plant today, cut up, comes back next period. Benjamin says, Pesce getting the Iron Man award. Dude sutured up like Frankenstein and back on the ice for the third. Yeah, I guess that would be like the only, and there's a picture of the face if you missed it. Missed a few minutes of gameplay while he was getting repairs, and then he came back out. Devil Dogs, there used to be a Playboy Club in Vernon Township, which I think is Mountainside Creek, if it's still there now. I think I randomly came across an article about this. I never knew that existed until like literally a few months ago, and I believe the building is still there. Remind me of No Doubt. No Doubt in its heyday was great. A young Gwen Stefani. Justin Smith says Timo is not the problem. We got B now. I know there's plenty to blame Fitz for. I'm just saying the entire roster is underperforming, even the goalie. That's true. NJ Viewer says they aren't getting clear chances like we give other teams. Need a coach the players are scared of and will give 100%. It's something that could be, there could be a change after the season. Suk says Timo is one of the many problems. Bobby says Timo is not the issue. Tasha said Fitz doesn't even look at the standings, for God's sake, which we learned in his last media availability with the Q&A. He had told us that he does not look at the standings, which I thought was certainly alarming, as did many others. SJ, agree, Ace. These guys can aim high. These guys can aim or score clutch goals. Okay. Guys can't aim or score clutch goals consistently. They're getting tons of chances. It's just Travelin says the whole organization is to blame. Damn, I can't close the gap with this chat. Shout out to all of you. Cheers to all of you. I've been nursing this one too. Let me finish this. Loser beverage. Travelin says the whole organization is to blame. David says they're not getting tons of chances. 22nd in NHL and expected goals for. Keefe never changed his system to spark us. What's more likely, everyone declining at once or the coach being lackluster? Again, David, how many coaches are going to fall on the sword for an underperforming group? Because then guess what? If a new coach comes in and we see the same shit, then everyone, the chart, the expected goals and this, that, and then another coach is going to get ran out of town. What's more likely? That this group together just cannot get it done, or it's every coach they ever had's fault? I'm asking a real question. Gleason says, anyone who contributes to the worst shooting percentage of the league, I'm against. It's players, Keefe and Fitz. Fitz gets nothing from seeing the results of his work and thinks the Donov will help. Yo, and the craziest part about Dodonov was that he got him. We all thought it was a depth bottom 6 move at the time. When training camp started, he was on the top line. So Fitz got him as the answer to the top 6 winger. Unbelievable. Wasted Youth Caper Ace. Here's one. If you had the choice of 2 Devils from the past and their prime, besides the obvious, like Stevens needs Covey, who would fit this team? My picks are Gianta and Colin White. For this, I love both of those players. I love Gio and Colin White. But for this particular team, I would not pick a defenseman because I think our defense is good enough to win. And I think there's holes in the offense. If I had to pick 2, and you're saying not to pick the obvious ones, I would go, because people have asked a variation of this question, I feel like 10 times now in the past few weeks. I'm gonna go Jason Arnott and Billy Guerin for this particular team because we need center depth. I've wanted a huge center forever, and we need nasty wingers. So I'm gonna go. And nasty wingers that could score. So for this particular team, the way it's constructed as of today, I'm going Jason Arnott and Billy G. Tasha says, no doubt's doing a residency in Vegas. Yeah, my buddy told me about that. He actually was at the Gwen Stefani show at the Sphere like a couple weeks ago. Tasha said, we didn't all think Dodonov was going to be a bottom 6 piece. Fitz wouldn't stop harping on his abilities to play up and down the lineup. It was kind of sus. Well, at that point, when he said that, I thought maybe second line audition, but top line audition. But shame on me, I guess. We should have seen it coming. Gleason says, I don't want to fire a coach either, but someone has to do something to intervene. This organization just watches seasons go by and watches. I agree. It's frustrating, but it starts with the GM. We need a new GM more than anything. And we need a shakeup of the DNA of the roster. I mean, that's a huge thing. Wasted Youth Caper says, nice picks, Ace. I am biased because I met Colin White a couple times. Lives about an hour and a half from me. I know he's a big Nova Scotia guy in the summer. He actually lives not far from me during the non-summer months. He's always around with the Devils alumni and stuff, but I always loved Whitey. 2-time Cup champ. 2-time Cup champ with the New Jersey Devils, 2000 and 2003. Nasty, nasty man. Nasty, nasty man. David says Sheldon Keefe hockey equals no identity hockey. David, you're very clear. You think Keefe is the problem. Like I said, I'm not blind to the fact that he may be a contributing factor to the problem, but I think the biggest problem is that, these guys cannot finish. And like I said, I will always give Fitz blame for not getting the right pieces around them. We could finally start winning again when Fitz gets shown the door. It needs to happen soon. George, Ace, new to the channel, I'm afraid to ask, were you part of the stooge brigade of fans that wanted Lindy Ruff fired? So I'll be honest, I did. but at the very end, and I never was, there was people calling for him to get fired super early, and I thought it was a mistake. And then it just came to the point where I thought that he definitely was not like the main problem, but I didn't think he'd be part of the solution. And so at that point, I did think the team wanted the team needed a new voice to kind of take them to that next level. But I'm certainly appreciative of Lindy Ruff and his time here and the work that he had done with these players. And I do think he was crucial in their development. But at the end, I did want him fired just because it was just so frustrating that I didn't fully blame it on him this season, because obviously we all know not getting a goalie that whole time was just completely ridiculous, and I blame Fitz more than anything. But for whatever reason, it just seemed like to me that the group needed a new voice and we needed a new direction to get to the next step after Lindy. But I was never like one of the chanters or the people that was like spitting venom about him or anything like that. I was not one of those. But at the end, I agreed with it. Seabone said we all wanted him fired. Tasha, the sorry Lindy chants will never not be funny to me. Brandon, I do think Fitz is 100% the issue. I guarantee if he's gone tomorrow, they would start winning again. David said, I liked when we hired Keefe. I changed my mind. Devil's Den, I remember when he got the Donov, I said, oh, this is Fitz's replacement for the first line, and I took so much shit because everyone said he'd be a fourth-line guy. Well, he apparently thought that he was a first-line guy, which is kind of crazy. It's always like a budget fix. It's either a budget fix from the outside or like, oh, someone's going to step up. The answer is going to come from within. Like, no, it's not. No, it's not. Toffoli was never replaced, and the answer never came from within, and the answer certainly isn't Dodonov. So obtain a legitimate top six winger for Jack. C-Bones, I want them all fired. The whole front office needs to go. I'm completely with you. B now, Colin White used to be my neighbor in Montclair, but moved when he got traded. Love Whitey. Wasted Youth. Yeah, he lives here in the summer. You're right. Helped him and his wife loading a TV in their truck one time. Nice. Pucks and Picks. Getting to Donov was like buying a soda that ends up being flat when you open it. Isn't that a disappointment? B now says Zubris and Colin White lived around the corner. I think Zubris is still there. Not sure. Still same Halloween lawn. We're driving away from Taco Bell and finding out there's no hot sauce in the bag. Ooh, that's a shame on you. Same as if you don't ask for the ketchup now, pretty much everywhere you go. You used to just get ketchup automatically, which makes sense at like Wendy's, McDonald's, whatever. Now you have to ask for it because some idiot in the corporate office was like, don't give them ketchup. Make them ask for it. And that way we'll save X amount of packets per place times all the locations. And it's like, I just saved us $3 million a year by screwing people out of ketchup. Unbelievable. Wasted Youth, Colin White, class act, man, big frigger. Yeah, that's how all my hockey players, just monsters. Colin White is an absolute monster, and he still is. Whitey is still a monster. The players nowadays, different kind of build. I want some monsters. Gleason says, if Fitz doesn't think we are who we are this year, then he should be fired. That's it. We aren't unlucky. We're actually fortunate to have the points we do. Probably. Dakota, if you could choose a location for an expansion team, where would you choose? I would choose Wisconsin just so I could go hate on them. I don't really know. Choose a location for an expansion team. Maybe Quebec. Let the Nordiques fans get a team back. I don't know. And I guess Houston would be interesting. Houston, too big of a market. It's not of a team by now. B now, his lawn had an insane amount of Halloween decorations, and it's still there every year. Zubris. I wonder if he just left them with the house if he doesn't live there anymore. Like, did he just leave the house and leave? I could see people doing that. and just leaving the shit like in the garage or something, and now the new people just use it. Zubris was a beast. Was it him, Yager, and Zajac? Yeah, man. What a heavy line. Heavy on pucks. Could cycle like it was fun to watch on some bad Devils. Well, not bad, but not great. Devils teams that they would just cycle it around and teams could not do shit. You weren't getting the puck from those guys. I just did a little check. Just for the record, if you're interested to know, confirmed that Zubris sold that house in 2017, in the summer of 17. So he must have left all the decorations there. They came with the house. Quebec City for expansion. That was kind of my first answer. NJ viewer, folks wanted Lindy fired, but not Keefe. Make it make sense. People say 112 points under Lenni was an outlier. Therein lies the problem with Devils fans. They just can't handle success. I do think a big part of that was the Devils kind of catching teams by surprise because they were bad for so long, and now they just kind of had this outbreak season, and teams weren't as versed in how to shut down that speedy transition rush offense. And then once teams kind of caught on, it became more difficult. But I definitely give Lindy credit for some of it. But there's a lot of things. A lot of things that kind of went to the fall from grace from that season, in my opinion. I don't think at this point a new coach is changing this team that much. But what, they've won 6 of the last 8, I think. Like, they're starting to play better, but it's not good enough. David said, when I ask for ketchup at fast food, I get 6 packets above expected. They either give none or 6. That was then said on behalf of all Canadians, boo Quebec. That's interesting. Beniers said I could see him leaving the decorations. Yeah, he totally did. Brandon says, NJ viewer, this is not fair, though. Teams learn to counter our rush, and we were fired, Lindy, because our shit players can't adapt from the rush play. Yeah, it's kind of what I just said before. It was kind of a new breakout Devils team, and they weren't ready for it. And then after everyone reviews film and they have some time to kind of get up to speed, they figure out how to shut it down, or at least the good teams do. Gleason says, I don't want the league past 32 teams. Less fans get to experience playoff runs. The more teams there are, 32 is the max for any league. I think the NHL secretly agrees. I agree with you there. I don't want to see any more expansion at all. But the reality is there's so much money involved that it's going to happen at some point. Take care, Alex. NJ viewer says, Bettman wants regions which aren't into hockey to build out the NHL reach. That's why Quebec won't get a team. That's also a risky proposition, no? Putting hockey teams in a market that might not have the demand. I would love to know the research that goes behind, all the different things with an expansion team, like the group trying to bring them in, and what do they actually do before settling on a location? Ways to do with Caper. Can't wait to go back to New Jersey to see some games. Usually go once a year. Going to wait until leadership changes. If Border Patrol looked at my phone, I would be detained. Robbie's bench toss. Would love a David Clarkson unrestricted free agency signing with Toronto on this team. He had a great season with Kovalchuk and those guys. He was doing some power play damage too. Good for Clarkie during that cup season, 2012, the cup run season, I should say. 30 goal scorer, and cashed in mightily. Toronto gave him the bag. Yeah, he figured he left all the decorations. He did. Metal says the Canadian economy is failing. Bettman is going to try Atlanta for the third time until it works. That would be strange to me. A place that already just weird. Justin Smith, good night. If only Jack was built like Kovalchuk. Oh, God. What a player that would be. NJ Viewer, the reason they've won 6 of 8 is because players getting scared of being traded. Once they feel safe, they'll go back to relaxing. I hope that's not the case. And that's really an indictment on the players. Like, you shouldn't only perform when you're you feel like you're at risk of being traded. Tosh said, Ace, did you see the photo of the Leafs press box and Nylander flipping off the camera? I did. People made a big deal out of that. Only 700K people in, I guess, Quebec City. Quebec City entire metro area is barely larger than half of Ocean County. They're not going to put a team there again. That seems pretty crazy. I didn't realize that. No wonder it failed. Brandon said, one thing you give the Devils credit, you give the Devils space and give them opportunities from the rush, you have zero chance. We might be the best team in history for this. 5-on-5 sucks. Yeah. Robbie's bench toss says Houston, Kansas City, Atlanta, all a 3.0 are all ahead of another Canadian city. All right, that's it, folks. Anyone has any last-minute things, throw it out there. I'm wrapping this up. It's over. It's over, man. We could not. So close. We scored first, tied going into the third, but it was not in the cards. The Devils finished the road trip not 4-0. They finished at 3-1, 750 points percentage hockey, which is pretty damn good. And I think we all would have signed up for 3-1 before the trip. But after going 3-0, it's a disappointment. Complete disappointment. Would have loved to see this team finish it off. They could not. Return to the Rock Tuesday night against the Winnipeg Jets for Johnny Mac Ring of Honor night. And it's going to be a good one. Johnny Mac Ring of Honor night. Looking forward to that. I'm sure a lot of you other longtime old-timers are going to enjoy that as well. Stay safe. New Jersey, we're snowed in. There's a bunch of stuff. I'm trying not to do much. We'll have to deal with the snow situation, I guess, either tonight or tomorrow. I mean, I really don't want to go outside right now. But that's it, friends. Hit the thumbs up on the way out. I'll probably have a video or two coming out maybe in the next couple days before the stream, but maybe not because I'm kind of busy. But I have some ideas and ones I wanted to record, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Shitty game. Devils lose 4-2. Got to get back to the winning ways for Johnny Mac on Ring of Honor night on Tuesday. Thank you all for watching. I love you all. Like, comment, subscribe, and all that jazz. Until next time, friends. Let's go Devils.